This episode is brought to you by Lone Wolf Paintball. They are an amazing online supplier and have been around since the beginning of the game as Michigan's premier paintball field and paintball supplier since 1987. They are rapidly expanding into the online retail space and supplying everything you need to be the best paintball player you can be. They have got it all. Head over to lonewolfpaintball.com and shop all of your favorite brands. And they also boast amazing customer service and will have this out to you with same-day shipping, which is amazing. It's always nice to know that your stuff is on its way immediately so you can start to use it that very next weekend of play. Check out their YouTube, Lone Wolf Paintball, and their Instagram at Lone Wolf PB, and stay up to date with all of their deals and sales. Play the Game podcast is immensely honored to have them on board, and we cannot wait for you guys to check out lonewolfpaintball.com and become a part of their community.
What's going on, PTG Nation? This week, we have finally landed the big tuna. We finally landed the GOAT of GOATs, the GOAT of media, the OG, the first to really change the game in paintball media. None other than Cassidy Sanders. He took about a 10-year hiatus working in the esports industry for Cloud9, and his contributions to paintball and especially HK Army cannot be overstated. So we're so excited to finally have him on the show. And without further ado, we're going to hop in.
That was an insane inside move by Marcelo Margot. Great communication.
And the crowd starts chanting Harmon. Great shot by all the guys. So Tyler Harmon saved that game.
He came out with 2 wins. Marcelo Margot was on fire.
Welcome all to PTG. This is episode number 325, and we cannot wait to share our guest, the legend, with everybody. It's very exciting. Oh my God, it's been forever. And I've been working on getting Cass on for so
5
long,
years.
and we finally got him. Yeah. So from the legendary HK videos that absolutely shaped the culture of paintball as we live in today, to also filming some of the biggest esports stages with Cloud9 Gaming, we got the man behind the lens, the storyteller, the legend, Cassidy Sanders. Welcome to the show, brother.
Hello, hello.
Yeah.
How you guys doing?
Doing
Excellent,
good, man.
Excellent. So excited to have you on the show for many different reasons. You were really an iconic figure in paintball. If any of the new players listening to the episode don't know who Cassidy Sanders is, I guarantee you've seen his videos. And Cassidy is just one of the pioneers in paintball media and marketing. Truly, one of the first. The way that you kind of took the scene by storm, in my opinion, was capturing the culture of the game in a way that nobody else really did. You really captured the lifestyle, kind of like maybe like 90s skateboarding, in a way that just made people fall in love with not just paintball, but HK Army, and so your contributions, you really can't say enough about. So we're incredibly excited to have you on, man.
No, I appreciate it. I'm going to tear up. No.
And also a former high level player too, just so everyone knows. You had some game back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of stories about that, so I'm ready to jump in whenever you guys want to.
Yeah, we actually just posted a video. I posted it on my Instagram, and then you shared it, Cass, of like the old squad running around, rampaging everyone in kind of a mosh pit, bashing off each other, and then raging out and going and playing paintball. So yeah, what is it like when you see those videos? Obviously, you've crushed the paintball scene, you dominated in esports, and you have new frontiers ahead. And looking back on that nostalgic time, what does it all mean to you?
No, I love it. I know some people don't like nostalgia, but for me, I eat it up. That's like one of my favorite things. And that video,
I love it.
That Aggernaut Instagram, I love that. That's hilarious. I can go in the story about Ag and all that stuff too. We all love telling that story. That video is 20 years ago, and it's just, I love seeing that stuff. But it's like, in my head I saw a little different, and then I go back and I was like, oh yeah, I wasn't that fast there in that corner. That was 2004, I believe. Yeah, and that's when X-Ball was popping, rocking and rolling. I always considered myself a 7-man player. And when X-Ball happened, I had fun with it, but that was definitely one of the pillars of I don't know if I'm going to be playing for much longer. And I still loved paintball, but it was just I was just a weird individual.
How come? Why was X-Ball something that you I understand liking 7-man more, the strategy, the field size. Honestly, I I don't know if it's nostalgia or what, but I love 7-man. You know, I loved the field layouts. I loved the size of the fields. I loved 7 bodies. Like you could go and shoot 4 people, you know, and it's like, that's a big move rather than shooting 2 or 3. I loved a lot about it, but what was it about X-Ball to you that kind of pushed you out?
I think you pretty much said it there too, is because I played 10-man before. So it's like going from 10 to then 7, but you still had no coaching on the sideline. And I was like, I wasn't the quickest, but my game sense is what I pride myself on. And I like my eyesight. I could like see little shadows.
Yeah.
Good. You know, I had sloppy Scotty Crescent behind me, you know, telling me some tricks and stuff.
Let's go, sloppy.
So like for me, I pride myself on like I could normally get a couple people with them not even looking at me. You know what I mean? So it's just easy G's, easy kills, you know. So like to go to X-Ball where it's just like now everyone's screaming and you know, and it was fun.
Oh, that's right.
You had to do some different tips and tricks. And so it was cool. But I miss that, like just sneaking down the field. No one knows. You shoot 3 and then you can do something too. And the other team just like, what happened? You know, like that was like my favorite.
That's one of the best parts of paintball is the sneaky aspect.
Exactly.
And it was crazy when the coaching started to, you know, become the norm. Everyone is like, he's coming, you know, he's running down the right side.
He just neutralized great moves. Yeah, it really was a bummer. But that like great moves would still happen, which was crazy.
Yeah.
Because also there was this element where
you didn't know what to believe.
So loud. Yeah, like there was a lot of counter coaching. There was a lot of yelling. So you really needed a voice that you could trust. And a lot of the top teams did. But still, like it would take a little bit of time for you to react to stuff because it was so loud and everybody's screaming. That part of it was kind of cool. I've kind of gone back and forth on whether or not I think sideline coaching is good for paintball. As a player, I really don't like it. Obviously, you know, I also think that, you know, I pride myself on being able to make sneaky moves and be undetected and, you know, read seams and stuff like that. And that would kind of kill that. But at the same time, I think for the show and the spectacle, it is pretty neat when the fans are really engaged and able to, you know, feel like they're part of the game. My solution, Cassidy, I don't know if you've ever listened to this on the show before or not, but my solution is having like stands that are much higher and further back than the actual field level, you know, kind of like an NFL stadium. So the fans could yell and participate, but it's so kind of far and distant that it's not quite sideline coaching where it's so easy to make out what's happening. And maybe you have it where like you can't have a designated coach.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it like the easy solve, but I feel like no matter what, it's safer to let people scream and have coaching, because if you're not allowing it, someone's gonna find a way to do it. You know what I mean? Even in esports and stuff too, like you always have to wonder, like, I don't know if you guys watch Counter-Strike tournaments or whatever, and they focus on this every so often where sometimes big events will happen and the crowd's like kind of amping up something and you can tell a player starts to play different or they hear something they shouldn't. And then if they're in a game and they had no audience, it'd be a whole different game. So I think paintball, that's for sure.
Dude, it's absolutely for sure. So like throughout the course of a match, especially at World Cups, I feel it the most because the energy is massive and there's so many people there. Throughout the course of a match, you can tell which direction the fans are going. And what I mean by that is you can tell when something good is going for you or something bad is you know, happening to your team based on where the applause are coming from or where the yells are coming from. I'm not kidding. That happened like 2023 World Cup. I totally remember multiple moments of like being in the snake and hearing the way the fans reacted. I'm like, oh, we lost somebody, you know, and being able to react right on that. And then against Impact in the end, that 1-on-2, when I finally shot Tyler, there wasn't much time on the not this Tyler Panilio. Okay. There wasn't much time on the clock, and I wasn't positive that Tyler was the last body, but the way the fans reacted, I was like, that is the last body, because I was like kind of sure that it was, just not positive. But the way they reacted, I was like, I'm risking it. We're going for the buzzer, you know. And I ended up having plenty of time, but it was, you definitely play off of the fans kind of waves back and forth, and you can feel it in matches. You really, really can. So yeah, it kind of is already happening. Just you're not allowed to, you know, call out specifics. So it's kind of a funny thing because there's no rule set in stone. The rule is you can't, you know, coach from the sidelines. What does that mean? You know, can we cheer? Like the Heat family always, like anytime they get a kill, it's like heat them up, you know, which is great. I love that they're on the sidelines screaming.
So you can't also so right now you can't coach from the sidelines. Just like you guys only have your coach, maybe. Or
no, our coach can't either.
Right,
you're not allowed to say anything from the sidelines technically, but
they can just stand on that thing and watch. Because I saw
Yes,
like how they had like a
right.
different POV.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is good because at World
Interesting.
Cup they do the pits behind the field, so behind each start station rather
yeah, I
than
saw
on the
that.
side.
Yeah.
So for a coach, you know, you want to be able to see what the other team's doing or what your team's doing, how many bodies are alive. And it's kind of a system because to blow the buzzer, you have to come down off that platform and go. It's like 40 feet away. So
dang.
you kind of want to have someone like by the buzzer waiting for your signal if you need to do that.
Okay. Yeah. Assistant coach.
Yeah,
exactly.
So they holler at us before the point starts, and then once it goes, you know, like March said, there are cues. Definitely, you can feel the energy of what's going on for the most part, especially in those big Sunday games. You can really feel the energy shift. But you're not going to be able to control the people forever as the game grows and as the sport grows, and you know the crowds get bigger. I think that there is the potential that we just let them rip and let them have fun, let them holler, and then like March said, if you push them back and you give more distance, that'll kind of mitigate the clarity. But I don't know. I guess we'll see as time rolls on what we do with the coaching. But in the 7v7 with the large fields like you're talking about, Cass, and in that time, such a, like we said, nostalgic time with the OG Dynasty. You got Naughty Dogs, you got, you know, Bob Long's assassins out there running around. HK is creating what will become one of the biggest brands in the world. And it all started from those moments of, you know, the early 2000s with the crew. You said something about ag, and I'm sure a lot of people want to know because it's a term that's used in paintball all the time. Where did it come from? How did it start?
Well, like I was reading some stuff on the internet. I was like, what do people think like this came from? And some were kind of decently correct or whatever, but we all come from Southern California. Like a lot of me, the Crescent brothers, Jay Panetta, Steve Nobby, all of us were like South Orange County, and that's big surfer, big skater crew, all that. And so like the theories about like aggro and aggressive, I think are pretty close because growing up in middle school and in high school, we would say like, oh, that's ag. You know what I mean? To like something that was cool or like whatever. I was never like a surfer guy. I got long hair or whatever, but you know, I did some skating. And so for bringing that into paintball, that was just our vocabulary. That was like literally our vocabulary. And then it just turned into probably people like, what are they saying? And we just kind of, you know, PB Nation was king back then before you know, YouTube and social media and all that stuff too.
Well, now it's PTG Nation. We got the chats.
Now we're talking. I got to join the Discord. I got to catch up. Give me some time.
Yeah, let's go, baby.
But yeah, I think fun facts for me is that if you on PB Nation back then, that was my username, was just ag, you know, and like I kind of was like one of the ones who like owned it, but it was more like Scott Crescent too was like the pillar because he was like the pillar to me. I'm of course biased here of like Hostile Kids and HK Army and all that and the internet, and then I was just there kind of hidden. Like that's why when I was filming too, people were like, I always like to be like, here's the crowd, I'm over here, you know what I mean? Or like if I'm filming, like I'm only close to you if we have that relationship, you know what I mean? And I think Tyler more so than you, Marcelo, no offense, you know what I mean? And I can go back to that too. And in our past too, that Tyler was a NorCal kid, you know what I mean? And I only saw it once or twice during, you know, when I went up there and got peer pressured into almost joining Cap Factory.
oh, shout out to Cap. And then you guys came up and did a street ball event up there. And just please.
10 years after that too. Yeah.
I know, but there's so many good memories, man. So many.
But I'll go back to like, the ag stuff. You guys want me to just go through my lore of HK real quick?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's run it.
And then we go back to, you know, content and all the stuff people really care about.
Well, and then we're going to actually bring up some YouTube videos here in a little bit, and we'll highlight some of your vids too.
Okay, cool. I'm down. So I have some show and tell stuff.
Yes.
When I pull these up, I guess you could do full screen by like hearing your guys' voices. But this is one of those rare items not a lot of people have seen or have. But this is like, we'll start it off with, you know, like actual Hostile Kids.
Oh, damn.
You know, and this is, you know, I don't know if you guys remember like the 32 degrees.
Whoa.
Yo, of course you remember 32 degrees.
Well, these kids these days.
Yeah, they've never heard
they
of
have
32
no
degrees.
clue. No clue.
So Hostile Kids, right? I think everyone's heard this story a million times. So I'll just kind of TLDR it and then give like my side of the story too. But yeah, Hostile Kids, you know, came from Hostile Takeover. They won, they did their thing, became Hostile Kids. Mark Crescent, Scott Crescent, Jason Panetta, Steve Nobby, and then there's like some other crews.
I figured it out. Can you hear us, Cassidy?
I can hear you.
Dude, look at you.
Nice.
We figured it out. Legendary. Sorry to interrupt. I just saw this.
You're good.
Dude,
so
see, look at that.
That jersey's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know
Wow.
both Crescents have kind of tried to force it out of my hands, but I was like, I got a good collection. I'll keep it safe. Don't worry.
Never. Yeah.
So like Hostile Kids was that crew, and then I wasn't a part of that. I had never played paintball before. I grew up as a gamer kid. I did a lot of skating, and then my parents always give me a hard time about a helmet or whatever. And somehow paintball was like, oh, you have to wear a helmet. You know what I mean? And that was like, no matter what, you got to wear safety stuff. But before paintball, I was big Counter-Strike nerd, big. I was more of a computer guy, even though a lot of my other buddies were, Halo and console gamers. I couldn't, once you had a mouse and keyboard in your hand,
control.
I couldn't go back, even though now it's getting crazy. But started with that, and then digital paintball. I don't remember because this is literally like 20, 30 years ago. I don't know if it was right before or right after I got really into it. And that was like okay, now I'll go try and play paintball. So I went with my stepdad and one of my close friends. His name was Colton back then.
So it all started with digital paintball.
In a sense. So yeah, I'll get into that too. Cause this is around like 2000, early 2000.
Yeah.
Maybe 1999 at the earliest of like when I actually got to play. And I went to Camp Pendleton, and that was when it was the more north Camp Pendleton field. Cause I know Marcelo might know more than others. When there was a lot of like when we did the Marcelo Joins Dynasty video, and that was like Camp Pendleton, I believe that was the more south location. And there's original, there's original Camp Pendleton, the one that I played at for the first time. I went there. And when I went, my buddy had a friend, Brad Baker, who was there running around. I don't know if he had like an autococker already, and he's just lacing everyone up. And I was like, okay, this is a whole different thing. And within a few weeks, he was friends with Scott Cresson, and they all went to the same school I went to, and I had no idea. So that's like I met the clique that they are people who play tournaments, and I'm just like I don't know what this is. And then, I started playing digital paintball. I started making, skins and stuff like that. That's probably later on. But anyways, I met Scott Cresson, and around that same time, Brad Baker also met Alex Cadalso, or Fatal. He's in some of those videos too.
Yeah.
So like Hostile Kids was already set. They had their crew. And then me, Brad, Alex, and a few others, that's when we started like Mutiny. That was like a whole different team. And then we met Bobby Avila, Scott Kemp, Josh Myers. There's a lot of other names I'm missing out, and I'm sorry. We'll be here for 5 hours. Talk about everything. I'm just doing a quick TLDR.
How dare you, Cassidy, not remember
for an actual documentary one day?
Actually, name
yes,
shame.
Yes,
we'll talk about an actual documentary too later in the, in the episode.
Dude,
but so that was like, okay, now I'm playing tournament style, and I'm only like a month or two into paintball. Like, it doesn't make any sense, but I'm already like trying to run, and I think that was because the skill level at Camp Pendleton, right? You had Whisper and Rusty just running them up, and walk-ons too, wearing little spinning hats, and Gator and stuff like that. And then we went to Tombstone and SC Village, and you already have people who've been doing this, and like you said, Dynasty, whatever. And that's why I mentioned you, Marcelo. I never went further south, and that's where you and San Diego crew, you know what I mean? So that's why I feel like we weren't that close.
No, I got into the SC Village kind of LA scene around 2004, 2005, really.
Exactly. That's when I was already
exactly.
So like,
hey Cass, what tournament, when you first started playing tournaments, was it 3v3 or was it the big games? What were you doing?
There might have been like 3v3, because I never got to play like big scenario or anything, because I went straight from like walk on once or twice to like, oh no, you go play on this field that's only a couple of feet wide and long, you know what I mean? Because Camp Pendleton had a more like, they didn't really have tournament fields, so that's why Tombstone had ones that were made out of like concrete or whatever. But then SC Village, world famous, that was the one that changed the whole game. But at Tombstone, for me, one of the first tournaments I played in is where like I play. Go ahead.
Best in the West.
It might have been Best in West. I don't know if that was like one that might have been a little bigger, but we played some like Young Gun stuff, and that's when like you started to have cliques. Like I met Bobby and Josh and Scott Kemp, and you can realize we started becoming like friends. Versus we had other teams we weren't friends with. That's for sure. And then there was more when Hostile Kids became like a bigger group. Oh my god, I'm already losing my train of thought, but. Because, for example, Isaac also played like some Young Gun stuff with us, and we played under like Samurai Pizza Cats or something like that instead of Hostile Kids. It was good times. But so Hostel Kids had theirs, and then eventually, like you're saying, 10-man or bigger events happening, and we started playing a lot together. That's when like HK Army was starting to like realize what's going on here. You know what I mean? We have like cliques of crews, but now the game's bigger, and we all love to play each other, but now there's too many of us. And HK Army, everyone's told the story a million times, infamous. Like we had where we at SC Village, we played like a scenario, like a Memorial Day, where it was like, you know, like 20, 30 of us playing against like hundreds of walk-on people. And we were the HK Army, you know, throwing our swords up. And like I had my medic HK Army headband. This is like later in the years. That's like really set the stone of like HK Army and the full crew. But to go back, started playing with Hostel Kids, and we were doing 10-man. You know, we were playing under team names like Check It Kids. Some other teams, just because like whoever would sponsor us and do it, because you know half our team and myself included can't really afford paintball at the time, so we were trying to find ways, and luckily we had people who were skilled enough and knew the right people, or would go work at a paintball field and then get a deal and hook us up. And you know, or
sometimes you just had to hit the fences, you know what I'm saying? We're getting in.
There's stories like that. Allegedly. But for me, too,
I think Marky has shared them on here for everyone to hear.
He has.
I'm starting to see some interviews with like, you know, some pros too, talking about some stuff. I was like, okay, we're airing it all out now.
All right.
I like that.
I think statute of limitations is passed.
20 years window, we're good. But for me, I was like so shy and so scared, but that was like my first like community, like real type thing. And so like Scott Crescent, Mark Crescent, Jay, Nobby, you know, Josh, Brandon Fort, Paul Cassidy, they come even later, because that's when SC Village and that stuff too. Brandon and Paul Caddick and, you know, Goat and oh my God, I could go days and days. That's just like when the scene just started getting bigger and bigger. But for me, I was still like so shy. All I want to do is like play with my Crescent brothers, you know, just, you know, do my thing. And like I could hold my own. But if people got in my face or whatever, you know, like I couldn't handle it. You know what I mean? Like,
well, that's why you had the crew. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. Don't mess with I got Scotty. As long as I got Scott behind me, I felt like the world was mine. You know,
don't mess with Cassidy.
I appreciate it. But so we went and actually played a 10-man up in NorCal, and I think that's like a part of my lore, because this is way after Hostel Kids. Let me show a few more things.
What year was that when you went up to NorCal for that with Cap?
Well, no, I didn't go up for like the tryout stuff.
Yeah.
Ooh, the tryout stuff. I'm not sure. Ooh, I'll do the full screen in a second.
All right. Let's see.
Okay. For Cap Factory, because that was like the, you know, growing up in SoCal, you know, we had Dynasty and Ironman, and you know, we were all like fanboys and we loved that stuff.
Cap was it.
But once you got into the serious game, you know what I mean, and you wanted to be like a contender and you wanted to go pro or whatever, Cap, for me at least, you know, and some of us or whatever, that was like these are the guys, you know what I mean? And then when they had like, you know, Dave Baines and Gator and Roy and Jesse and all these homies that were like SoCal, NorCal mixing, that felt like you wanted to be a part of that team back then. And so I started having better relationships with Gator, Roy, Jesse, and things like that. And then Alex could also, he's like the guy like Scotty and them. He's a real like, you know, people person, you know what I mean? He was like friends with Todd Martinez, like, you know, when we were still like learning how to play the game, and I have one of his old jerseys laying around too.
Oh, dope.
And so I think Alex could also is for sure one of the reasons too why I even you know, played with the fact of maybe joining a different team, because we went up there, and you know, Scott Kemp was there. I don't know if he was trying out or what he was doing up there, but they built me a whole intimidator, you know, did the whole thing, let me play with them. You know, Dave Baines was really like showing me what I'm doing wrong and why am I doing these things. And then they offered me to play a spot at like an MPPL, like New Jersey or something like that. And I was like, you know, telling them like, yeah, I'm down. And then like a couple of weeks before the tournament started, Scott and Jay and Steve Kwan and them hit me up being like, hey, this one team wants us to play with them, you know, it's like a guest spot. I'm like, I'm in. Because that's just how like crazy I was. Because I was like, oh, Scotty and them are playing. That's where I'm going. And that was kind of like the
ride or die.
Yeah, ride or die. That was kind of like that defined my whole career in a sense, where like I would rather stay with them and core. And then at least we started like the Edge and Hostel Kids teams. But we'd get a core together, and then someone else would get picked up by a pro team. You know, like it was like every event we'd lose like 1 or 2 players to a pro team, and then we try to, you know, build a new squad, keep doing it, and I enjoyed it, but that, you know, that gets old pretty quick.
Well, there's a ton of teams that deal with that
Yeah,
I mean, across the nation. So yeah, what would be your best advice on navigating that? Because it's not easy.
well, for me, because I'm a weirdo and it's tough, is I wouldn't change what I did because those were like my closest friends. You know what I mean? And that was my clique. Like when I went up and I played with the, you know, and you were probably up there too, which is crazy to think.
Yeah, I was for sure. I never missed a cap game at tournaments. When I was a rookie and a novice on Twisted, I was at every single game watching everything that they did, because what they were doing play wise, the way they communicated, the way that they read the field, and then on top of that, there's the style that they had was like next to nobody, and they just had this energy that was unmatched at the time. I mean, I'm talking about across the board. It was like everybody was like, oh yeah, we're going to be at the cap game. We'll see you there. You know, it's just madness. It's crazy.
I actually have a Twisted jersey from those days.
No way.
I think it's Jason Locke.
J-Lo. Yeah.
So I have one of his jerseys in the OG collection.
Yeah.
My advice. Well, that was when he's Twisted too. Like before.
Yeah.
He probably was doing tryouts and stuff too. That's probably why. But for me, my advice is just like, what do you want out of it? You know what I mean? It's similar to like the content and stuff too. So for me, for paintball, like I got what I wanted out of it. You know, if I wanted to go pro and want to do that, my whole thing would have been different. You know what I mean? I would have probably played different. I would have went to events and talked to people differently. You know what I mean? It'd be more like in business. But back then for us, like paintball, you know, I know I'm coming back into paintball and, you know, trying to see behind a few curtains here and there. Like I would like to come back to paintball.
Yeah.
It's just a little harder. That it's really about what you want to get out of it and trying to find that and staying true to it. You know what I mean? Like I think I have the biggest respect for paintball, but I still think it has a long way to go. And so if you want to go pro and things like that, like you have to invest like your whole life into it. In so many aspects, and a lot of people don't see that, especially during our days. Those were the days where like you had people like they're getting paid how much, you know, like there was that dream, but now we're 20 years later and it's still like there's a reality. Like a lot of people can get paid a lot. Go ahead.
Yeah, I will say like I think more people are getting paid now than ever.
Awesome.
But I think something the pros have done a really good job of, I know Tyler and I talk about it all the time, is all the kids that I work with or Tyler works with, like we also teach the business side of paintball, because there is a career in the game, you know, but you have to treat the entire thing like a business. So it's like, okay, I can make X amount from simply playing, you know, if I can get a team to pay, you know, whether it's 20 markers or 50 grand, or, you know, some people are getting 100 grand, 120, 100, you know, there's been $150,000 deals. And I guess what's funny is if you adjust for inflation, Oliver's deal is still the biggest in the history of the game. I guess that is kind of the truth, but a lot more people are getting a piece of the pie. But it's okay. You can do clinics, you can start your own business within the game. You can do a lot of different things to monetize the thing that you love, you know. You can get a job if you love, you know, cinematography or doing stuff like, you know, marketing, you can get a job at one of these companies and also play professionally. You know, there's ways to, you know, leverage your skills in paintball to monetize, you know, within the business world, I guess. So that's a really important thing that, you know, if you're listening to this and you haven't heard us talk about it and you are chasing a pro dream, and sorry to interject in your story there, Cassidy, but I do think, I think it's important for, you know, the up and coming players, especially, to recognize that, you know, maybe one day we'll get these big sponsorship deals. But I know Tyler, myself, Cassidy, we were all part of those dreams and conversations 20 years ago. We were like, oh, in 5 years for sure, it's, you know, I'm going to be making $500,000 a year, you know, Nike's coming in. Yeah. You know, and it's not. So pursue it, but understand that you're going to have to treat this thing like a business for now, you know, and that's amazing. I think it's actually awesome. I love it personally because it's a great challenge. It keeps your mind really sharp. I feel like we're all very well-rounded. I think if paintball got completely stripped from us, we'd be able to go and find success in pretty much any other industry with what we've learned doing this. So there's a lot of value there. You need to understand that as a player, that you got to treat it like a business and don't expect just to get really good at paintball and then get paid and be able to support yourself for the rest of your life. Because that's not where we're at right now. And I don't see it in the near future. Could happen, but small pipe dream.
Mm-hmm. No, I think what's important too is like coming from esports side too, is like the players are only getting younger and better. And I'm assuming in paintball, for that to happen though, you have to have a system in place that like supports that. And I don't know, like for me growing up, it's either you had family or friends, whatever. You didn't have like a manager, or like you had coaches, but usually like a coach was like, you know, maybe still wanted to play or whatever. Like I know you guys now have actual coaches, and you know, it's amazing stuff that too. But like what I would tell the esports kids when I was traveling the world with them, I was like, I've done all this in my past life, but we didn't have no managers or supervisors. Like we were just out in the wild on our own and trying to survive. And that's probably part of the reason why, you know, I have a magazine here about, you know, being straight edge back then, me and Jay and a few others in the paintball world. But it's just like, cause I felt like I was one of the moms of the groups, you know what I mean? That I was like, someone's got to stay like here in the present and make sure we stay safe. And then, you know, you guys have fun. So I think for paintball for you guys now, that's why I'm saying about research, and I would love to see how we'll have this conversation again, like a year from now, in my opinion. So I know more about the state of paintball right now, but like for me in my past, it's just like, how can you go pro and learn all this stuff if you don't have the right people supporting you? And finding those right people is very rare back then. And like, you'd find the right person, but maybe they already had like the new upcoming kid that they wanted to grow, you know what I mean? And so much time. So I loved when HK started booming, and then now you guys doing like clinics and stuff. It's like, oh, I love this stuff because it's pushing it in the right direction. It's just now, how do we keep taking those next baby steps?
Yes, that's right. It's the most important, Cass, that we nurture the game and pass the torch. I mean, we're only getting older, but the future is really bright with the up and coming generation of players are super talented, gritty. I know the East Coast has a bunch of them. West Coast has a bunch of them. Texas has a big pool of players that are gritty and hungry. But it's a different paradigm that we're in now, with the landscape of paintball, obviously, as opposed to the early 2000s and, you know, before the market crash of 08 and 09, and then you know, then the pandemic in 2020 really took a big hit to paintball. So paintball has stood the test of time, which is amazing, and it feels stronger than ever right now, which is you know, obviously the game we talk about all the time is just, it's captivating for people, you know. So I don't think it's going to go anywhere. It gives people community, but we just got to make sure we keep doing the right things and pressing the gas, because it could disappear tomorrow, and that's the fact of the matter. It's a luxury sport, you know. So
I want to touch on it real quick, Marcelo, because what you're talking about with the stands and the fans, and what you're just saying, Tyler, remind me that like if one of the goals is to have bigger, you know, a bigger sport and grow paintball, like you're gonna want more fans watching, right? And if you want more fans, there's gonna be more people who don't know what they're watching, and they're not gonna follow the rules. They're not gonna. What do you mean I can't yell at this guy at the field? So like that's like one of those things you have to take into place. Of course, that for me is different because we were playing on the beach in Huntington Beach. You know what I mean? Like, so you had a lot of random people, and then later in the years, then we were playing kind of in a field somewhere else, so maybe you wouldn't have as many. You know, like what is this going on? But for me, it's like we could be there. It's just everyone's got to be on the same page and have the same goal and fight for it together, really.
Yeah. And we actually, before the show, we're talking about trying to pack stadiums out and have people watch it. And then we were like, well, a lot of people probably just want to watch it online, or, you know, I'm sure you get a lot of people to the spot for the hype and the energy, because there is that element that sells crowds. They want to be there for the energy. But yeah, we got to, you know, get creative if we want this thing to really be someday a $1 billion industry, you know, a multi-billion dollar industry that's really booming. We got to be creative for sure.
Some kind of crazy news that I know it's definitely not public because it's not confirmed, and I don't even think I'm supposed to talk about it, but I don't remember being explicitly told not to. So the 3v3 that they've been doing, Cass, have you been following that at all?
Yeah, because I gave Tyler a hard time because he had some like highlighted hair, and I was like, let's see a photo, and he's like, watch the 3-man, and I was like, watch the what? You know what I mean? But that's like I hadn't seen any like advertisements for it, but yeah, go for it.
Yeah. See, we could do so much better with the advertising. That's a whole nother conversation. We've been harping on that for a bit now, but so they're doing the conference system. So the first 3 events, you'll have the East and Western Conference, and then they're going to take, I think, like the top 8 teams to the championship, which will be on ESPN. And I think they might be doing it at Huntington Beach.
Ooh, okay. Now we're talking.
I think. Don't clip this. Don't make this go viral. You gotta, I'm just saying.
If HK did it, why can't ESPN do it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think there's a real possibility that's what we're going back to for the 3-on-3 championships, which would be pretty sick. That would be talk about nostalgia. I remember like cruising around Huntington Beach. That was, man, those days were just amazing because still being a young professional at that time, being, 17, 18, 19 years old, I was still in awe of everything. I still looked up to so many people, that were there. And so walking around those events and just even being friends with the HK guys and you guys having the trailers there, and it was all so overwhelmingly awesome to me. It really left such an imprint on, who I am, honestly. Like those events really shaped a lot of my paintball, passion. Yeah, they were just iconic. I still go back and see photos sometimes, and I've got a great photo with Bobby, walking through the vendors area there, and it's, yeah, I mean, if we could get back there and that'll be the ESPN thing, we get a bunch of, the random people that are just cruising the beach to come and watch. That would be so sick.
I love that.
Amazing.
Now they have to make it happen because we talked about it. So if they don't do it, they're going to be, a lot of unhappy people.
That's why I said if HK could do it, then ESPN, because I have one of the banners from when HK did like the Surf City Open, we tried to bring it back or whatever. So it's like, hopefully, that town.
Dude, we won that. Me and Schwartz. Let's go, Schwartz.
Let's go.
So
who did we play? We played Shane Howe and Tim Brusselback, and then Alex Frazier and Yosh. It was 2v2s.
Oh yeah, the 2v2. There was like a 7-man or something for like open divisions and other stuff too. But yeah, I remember you guys winning.
Yeah, we did the 2v2s.
LJ had to come back.
Dog, he was feasting. LJ's a beast, man. He's so good at
not
paintball.
Playing anymore?
Really nope. He's not playing. He's hustling. My boy's hustling out there. Let's go, LJ.
I'm getting older. It's all right. It makes sense.
Watch out for it. Yeah, man. All right, so you got more lore on the table there? Let's see some of this.
Yeah, let's go more back to the story.
Right.
I'm sorry, we're going all over the place. I don't have notes or whatever.
We're going full screen.
Full screen. Okay, so like we had the original one, Hostel Kids. We started becoming like a bigger thing. What's sad is this isn't one of the original ones. I have to find all my OG ones. So this is like a remake or whatever. Yeah. So this everyone knows this guy, right?
Yeah. For all the listeners, real quick, honestly, do yourself a favor and go over to the YouTube because Cassidy's showing some old school iconic stuff right now.
Yeah, so this is like one of the re-releases. So that's why I think, let me check in the inside. Yeah, it has like, like newer branding and all that stuff too. So this isn't back in the early 2000s, but the lore behind this is I designed and made this jersey, this little one for us. So this is old Photoshop in the old days. And so like I was mentioning earlier, we had Mutiny. That's why there's the skull,
the pirates,
swords, because there was no HK Army yet. This was just like from the Mutiny side of us. And then the HK on the sleeve, this was for me probably like just the creative side of my head, where when you're playing paintball, you actually want to be able to read what you're saying on your arm. And back then a lot of people had jerseys where things were just upside down or on your legs when you're playing paintball, and you get this cool photo, but it's not legible. So I was excited about that. Yeah, branding, of course. And this is when I was a young guy. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying to have fun. The old back, just Hostel Kids. It's funny. This is still dirty, so my hands are probably gonna stink.
See, you're a young genius, bro. You're
a young guy.
The branding. That's so the skull and crossbones. Yep, the shield. That's
the one that started a lot of the waves for us too. We can go off full screen for now. Sorry.
So Cassidy showed us the jersey with the shield. Marchie, get us back in here.
Oh, shoot. Well, I like the full.
No, you're good. There's a reason why I was behind the camera. I'm sorry. I always like being away from the camera. And
we just have Cassidy on full display.
Well, here's the thing is, no offense, Marcelo, I would still do it for you too. But this guy, Tyler, like that's the only reason I'm here. You know what I mean? I don't like being on camera.
Bro,
I don't
I
like
love you.
talking.
This is
I
why
don't
I
even
never asked.
Okay.
Like, Tyler, you got it, dude. You got it.
I don't even like talking about my history because
Mhm.
it just feels weird, and that's just me growing still. You know what I mean? Now that I have a couple kids or whatever, and you know, I've traveled, and esports stuff definitely helped me a lot on that, and meeting a lot of new people.
Oh, for sure.
It's easier now. But
Yeah.
if you tried to have me do this like 10 years ago or even
No
5
way.
years ago, it's like, okay, can I not have a camera on? And like, can I just record some stuff and send it to you?
Yeah.
And like back before podcasts were a thing or whatever. But to go back into the story, yeah, I made this long sleeve, but it was Scott Cresson. You know, that's why I always will shout out Sloppy Scott, that he's the real reason, like he found the printing shop. You know what I mean? And I even messaged him the other day. I was like, what was your name? And he's like, Tina. Like, we all know these names because we had those relationships of how to get the long sleeve made and shirts like that. And that's when PB Nation and that stuff started to grow, because we're at SC Village, you know, all the SoCal events, or, you know, every weekend, just making, you know, causing a storm or a havoc. I don't know where my words are right now.
For
but
sure.
like,
Yeah.
just making a name for ourselves, but we weren't there to make a name for ourselves. We were there for the love of paintball.
You're just being yourselves.
It's like,
Yeah.
like
Everyone's just rocking.
yeah, but we were having like, we were loving paintball. Some people would maybe go too far and they would learn some lessons, you know what I mean? And like everyone was growing at that time. And for me, like I was real lucky because Scotty wanted to make a long sleeve, and so I just designed it real quick. And then now I still see, you know, HK still sells it to this day, and I was like, that's crazy. You know,
That is crazy.
Like, you know, I see Ronnie, you know, like practicing with Houston Heat and stuff, and he's wearing that jersey. And one of my buddies will send me a photo from like the esports world, Stunna and Trace, who's like buddies with some people. He comes from like Counter-Strike world. He'll send me a photo, and I was like, you see that jersey he's wearing? I designed that like 28 years ago. So I love that. But I'll pull one up.
Stands the test of time. And that shield is really controversial as well, because there was the Iron Kids, you know, and then the Hostile Kids kind of, you know, pirate style took over.
Some old
old stickers. Check out the YouTube.
One I don't think's that old. That one might be a
Hold on.
one.
Pull up some that one that was in the middle there. These old stickers.
But like this one, I don't even know if someone else made this and gave it to us. Because look at it's like where did that one come from? Why does that one say Iron Man?
Yeah.
no one see that one. But just like the skull and crossbones, like, so we can go into this guy. Like
started from Mutiny, right? With the Mutiny.
Yeah, like I wouldn't really say, like, I don't want to take full credit. Like, but in my head though, like the skull, like I put that on there because of Mutiny. And then I eventually, because like we were saying digital paintball earlier, I started making maps in the game of like SC Village and just our own with like tournament style. And I started putting the skull and crossbones of the pirate logo, but I put HK in the eyes, and I would just hide it like outside of the game. Cause I don't know if you guys played digital paintball or back in the day,
dude. All the
but
time.
you know, when you're spectating, you can fly out. That's when I would hide like HK logos. So you'd be playing like just a map. Some people liked some of them, some weren't that good. You know,
some Easter eggs.
But I was just putting Easter eggs and that's where I would like put random stuff like that. So I think to go with the skull and crossbones though, this one, I don't even know if this is one of the originals or if it's, you know, when HK was starting to push them and stuff too. But this one is original because this guy is from one of that video you shared, the actual long sleeve from the one. So it's got some mileage on it. Shit. And so the story with this one, it's funny down here.
And they're all just long sleeve, you know, shirts essentially. You know,
yeah.
HKArmy.com on the bottom.
Yeah. And jersey lettering James. So this is like, he's the one who hooked us up with the headbands that said the HK Army and the long sleeves and the street ball like jerseys, because we're wearing the street ball lore and all that's a whole different story. We'll say that for a documentary and all that too. But he's the one who helped make those events for us, and that's really what pushed like the skull and crossbone.
Damn, dude,
and that branding and stuff.
That's a relic. Yo, Cass, when you're making these HK videos, you know, you've how long did you shoot? And I kind of want to ask, how did it first before we get into that? How did it all even start with you filming paintball? Obviously, you said X-Ball came around. You kind of wanted to get behind the scene. You were always the guy that was kind of everything's over there, I'm over here. So you're like, I'll just start capturing all this. And what did that look like when that started? And how was it received by the crew? Were they like, yo, what's Cassidy doing? He's filming everything.
I'll go even further back. I'm sorry. I'll go real quick TLDR version because like around these hostel kid days, before that in middle school and high school, I took a lot of digital media classes, and this is before anyone knew what Photoshop was or editing videos. So we all grew up on Trauma Head and Push, and we all had those DVDs, Push especially, of course.
Yeah.
But I was fortunate enough that in one of my classes, we had to make little highlights and montage videos. And so I just brought all my paintball DVDs because I was just obsessed with paintball. All I do is just draw it in class all day, watch it, and waiting for the weekend. And, you know, at night I'm playing Counter-Strike and digital paintball, trying to feel what I feel at paintball on the weekend. And in those classes, I would take like a Trauma Head, Push or whatever, and I would edit the clips with like straight edge hardcore music at the beginning. So it's like people screaming and breakdowns. And then it would end with like Wu-Tang and like rap. Like it was like, I don't know where my brain was, but that's just how I've always been, where I loved different genres of music, different sports or whatever.
You still have these?
I might. So that's why I was saying I'm hunting a lot of the stuff. I'm a little worried that some stuff lived on a computer that doesn't exist anymore. But back then there was like, not floppy disk, it's not that old, but they called them like Z drives. And like, they were basically like, you know, like you have a USB that's like this big. Yeah. Back then they were like, you needed a drive that was like that, at least the file sizes or whatever. So in school, I did a lot of that. I did a lot of art and painting and drawing and stuff like that too. But I did a lot of photography in high school. So I have that too. So I was doing paintball photos. Give me 1 second. Sorry.
Oh yeah. We got some of these old photos for the YouTube. He's got some relics here that he's going to show off.
This is from high school, in my high school class.
Yo, give him the screen. There you go.
At SC Village in some of these. But so this is just like, you actually had a dark room, and this is probably 2002.
With the angel. He's got a photo of the angel.
Yep. And then
what loader is that? The Halo on there? It's got to be.
Yeah, that's definitely Halo. So there's probably you know, some HK stuff. There's like a skateboard there. This is Fatal. Alex could also just probably posing for one of my photo classes.
At the hyperball field.
Yeah, I don't know what jersey that is.
The sound of hyperball still gets me. I love it.
No, yeah, that's nostalgia, like you said. Those are the things or whatever. You guys recognize that fella?
That's Big Dog O.
Yep. So that's Mr. Oliver, just, you know, running around with us, you know, little kids on the field, showing us how to actually play the game.
And this is when he is bigger than any other player in the world at this very moment. And that's he's out on the hyperball field on that one too.
You know, getting shot too. You know, got to document he was actually human back then too.
That's right.
Yeah. So I showed this one to Ronnie too, but just another Oliver one. So I was taking a lot of film and photography when I was obsessed with paintball. And then this is where it starts to get funny. So this is like, we were playing some tournament and I didn't want to play. I was getting really in, and I had probably a school project too. So this is Scott Cresson wearing, of course, a Dave Fasten jersey, which is funny because I'll show the photo earlier. Is I found out 20 years ago how he got this jersey, and it makes me very sad.
Oh no,
because it has to do with Sandana head wraps, and I was like, I always wondered where mine went.
Oh, oh no.
We had some time, so we all know this guy now too, Mr. Too Tall himself, Mr. H.
Yo,
so this is literally. I forgot what paintball field in the middle of nowhere, like a 5-man. And so it's probably like Marky, Scotty, Jay, Nobby, and maybe like either Nobby's cousin or even Nick Panetta, Jay's brother, played. And then after a few points, they're like, Cash, you got to play. And I was like, okay. They're like, no more photos. So I went to it, you know, just random. Let me see if there's anything else.
Well, those are just like really nice artsy photos of the hyperball.
Photos. Yeah. And I actually have the film of this too. So there might be ones. Wow. These are all ones like, you know, like I had to do it for the project. That's, you know, all of it. I was still doing this thing, but
damn, these are timeless pieces that you have here.
Yeah,
those are crazy. I appreciate this so much because I would go and shoot with my grandpa. He was a photographer and an architect. That's what he did for a living. And here, get Cass back. Where is he? Oh, we got Angel Fregosa.
A little Greenspan
and little Ryan
up mask with the bleach, what do you call it? Bleach tips, ice tips. I forget what you call them.
Well, that's such a like iconic photo of Ryan as well. You know, from in his younger years when Dynasty was just molly-whopping everybody at that time, taking them to school.
But yeah, so I was taking a lot of photos, and I already had a lot of stuff. And then I pretty much kept it to like gaming stuff in a sense, because then paintball became like, I want to play. You know what I mean? I was doing the thing. I was decent, like I could hold my own. We're starting to win some tournaments, playing like a 7-man and stuff like that. And got to play, with all the OGs, Bobby Villas, Rainey,
Yeah,
like,
we love you, Bobby.
Yeah, and I have a couple of photos of him in here too. I'll show. But
dude, I was watching the street ball from 2010 or 11 when HK went up there and he dove inside the tube with his legs kicking up out of the top.
No, I love it. I got to watch a lot of those too. And then like that's the same thing, is there's a lot of unseen footage when it comes to a lot of that stuff. So that's like, I want to open the archive, but we can talk about that later.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
I started getting into paintball and just wanting to play. Already told you guys a story, I was a weirdo about it, decided not to go pro. Kind of got burnt out because of just every event. We're trying to do the same thing, but we have a new player and come in and we kept missing like top 4, like, cause back then in 7-man, right? You'd like, I don't know how it worked, because you had like group stage in a sense or something, and then you made playoffs, and then you're trying to make, and you had that point system.
Right.
Yeah.
And we'd always miss like the actual top playoff portion by like a point or two. And it was always from something really stupid. You know what I mean? Like someone cheated when they weren't supposed to, thinking they were slick, got caught doing
Are you ever supposed to?
Well, hey, that's why I always, this might be a crazy take, but I always told people, because I was very bad at cheating. So I got a couple penalties in my life and I was like, I'm never doing that again. Like, I can't do it. And I was surrounded by I wouldn't say pro cheaters, but I was surrounded on the field by people who played that gray area at the finest. You know what I mean? So I can't be out here looking like a dummy getting penalties when they're the ones trying to get away with murder behind me. You know what I mean? So I had to play more clean than others. I don't know where I was going with that, but
it's hilarious.
But I got burnt out like big time from just doing that. And then there was a big car accident that happened around that time. I don't know if you guys ever heard that story with Scott Camp.
Yeah.
Yep.
You guys want me to go into that story real quick? I can go into that too. The lore. It's a little more about myself, so I'll do it real quick. We went down to Mexico to do practice because it was like Dynasty, like Cat Factory. Like for some reason we were invited. And back then you had to turn your phone off when you're going to Mexico, because if you left your phone on, you're getting hundreds of dollars just for like a message or whatever. And so Scamp drove me, Nobby, Jay, Scotty, I think Jay, Nobby, Scott, me, and him. Yeah, so 5 in his big SUV. And we're going to like some world famous lobster place after. And I think we were literally following like Dave Baines or someone. And we lost him because he passed a semi on a one-way highway. And Scamp didn't want to call him. We didn't know where we were going. We we're supposed to follow him or whatever. So he went to follow and went behind on that one way. And while he's passing the semi truck, another car was coming, and he just panicked, and he didn't know if he could speed up and go or go back. So he went off to the side of the road, and then within seconds, it's just like black. And what happened is when he went on the side of the road, we went in a ditch, probably going like 60, and we're in a big SUV. There is photos of the car back then. But I always remember because I had to go pee really bad before we were in there. And Jay, we're in there. We're all excited. Just kids. Like I said, no one's supervising us. We're just running amok. And he's not even wearing a seatbelt. But Scotty made fun of him and I made fun of him. And luckily he put a seatbelt on and he was in the front seat. So so luckily we saved Jay's life at that point.
Man.
But I wake up. And all I gotta do, I was like, I just gotta pee. I was like, Scotty, and I'm waking up and it's just dust and everywhere. And I'm by myself in this car and I'm yelling for Scotty. He comes in and unbuckles me and carries me out of this ditch. I go pee like off in the distance, and my whole face is just covered in blood because, I'm sorry, graphic warning. I had a lap belt only, where it's just lap back in the day.
Yep.
And so when he fell in, I went forward, my whole body like went, and my face went into those like, if you're a driver and you have the middle thing, you have air.
Yeah,
AC
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
my face went into that. So I have that's why I have crazy scars. So it tore all my face apart. So it looked pretty scary. And so they wanted to take me to the hospital in Mexico, and I'm just like, no, I'm good. We live in SoCal. you know, like I don't want to be here. You know what I mean? I'm also younger and I just want to get home. And
Well, you
Nobby's,
probably have a concussion too, I'm sure.
yeah, I was just out of it as long as
Sure.
I went pee, and Nobby wasn't feeling good too. Like his chest wasn't doing or whatever. And luckily Tony Perez, he's the one who saved our lives. He was able to like convince the people like, no, I'll take him home. You know what I mean? Like let us take him. We get in his truck, just me and Nobby. Other people, I was out of my mind at that time. We get in his truck. We instantly get pulled over right after, and they take all our valuables just to let us like leave.
Yo.
And so I'm just over there like, just hurting, but I'm like, it's fine. But it took us 7 hours to get home. And the whole time I started feeling like someone was like stabbing me, and I felt like I had to throw up. Like, so like, I'm just like going through it. I get home. They drop me on the floor because Tony Press saved my life or whatever. But I get dropped off at home. My stepdad's like, "You've been drinking?" And I'm just like, "I've never drank a day in my life." And you're asking if I've drunk. Like, there's literally, like it's a whole different story. Yeah. But I go to the hospital. The emergency room is like pretty full, so they put me on the side. And the next thing I wake up in trauma because a doctor walked by me and he's like, just noticed like everything was low. My meters, I looked scary, and I was like 15 minutes away from bleeding to death because internally,
no way,
my bladder, all that stuff got ripped open from the impact. So like,
dude.
So I wake up, I have a crazy scar that goes from like my belly button to like the belt area because they had to go in there and sew it up. Normally, people like Scotty has his appendix below. You have like a little scar. That's what they would normally do to fix it. But since I was like, they got to save my life, they do that. And that was the life changer for me. You know what I mean? That was the moment where I was like, I always wanted tattoos. You know what I mean? Like, like I want to start wearing fancy clothes and like designing things and doing, stuff or whatever. And that's when like that era and, we call them the horsemen, but like Marky and Nobby and all those, they were the cool kids. You know what I mean? And they're older than me and Scotty. So they were learning other things too. But my life just changed, like a perspective changed. You know what I mean? Like I was still playing paintball, and this is like probably 2003, 2004-ish when it happened. So it's middle of my paintball career. So a lot of paintball, I think, Marcus Nielsen came and visited me in the hospital and a lot of things. Even one of our buddies passed out from seeing me. And what was sad for me is because even Scott Kemp, he called me up and he's like, "Why are you suing me?" And I was like, "What do you mean, why am I suing you?" But my parents' health insurance was suing his health insurance to pay for all my stuff. And that worked out. And he understood and I understood. And there was like some false stories too, because around that time, my stepdad's business was doing better before. And so we just got a new house. And some people assume, no, that's from the car accident. Like, that's all a different thing. But long story short, I remember Oliver.
Yeah, you were able to sue somebody in Mexico.
So
people,
I always remember because that's when JT just released like their basketball jerseys because they're like the Dynasty guys trying to do the street ball thing or whatever. And when they told me I couldn't like do anything physical for like 6 months, and I think I was out on the paintball field like 2 months later. Like I was already like, I just won't dive. We're playing 10-man on the hyperball. And within like the first like 5 minutes, I instantly dive in the ground. I was like, what am I doing to myself? But it was really cute because Dynasty gave me like a shirt where they all signed it and, like a basketball jersey because we're still those kids who, loved Dynasty back then, we're growing up. But from that point on, and that's why I was joking about that video you sent, that's after the car accident era. And when I'm running to the corner, like I could just tell, I was like, damn, I was not fast anymore. And I don't know if that was part of the car accident or just the way my body was like still healing and stuff like that. So I'm sorry, that was a long story. So to go back into all that paintball stuff.
That was the TDLR version too.
Yeah, that was. Sorry. You guys got me talking. I love you guys.
We love you, Cass.
I appreciate it. So my life was just different. You know what I mean? I wanted to start doing, I went back to school. I started doing like, I always want to do this. I'm going to do this, and then I met Rachel, my wife, and
God bless her.
Many of our kids.
She's the best.
And it was one of the things where I just finally, I started doing art shows and like things where I wanted to be creative. So I was creative, and really got to do it. And I literally went cold turkey with paintball. I think Scotty probably had a majority of like my gun setup and my things. So he might have made a pretty penny on some of my things because I just like
the Sandanas.
Yeah, because my relationship was the same thing where we're all going in different ways. We're all growing up. And like a lot of people are doing the college scene, and a lot of people are now actually becoming pro paintballers. You know what I mean? For me, I was like, now I'm going to school, falling in love, and going down the art avenue and doing art shows and stuff. So I really disconnected from it, and then came back like 6 or 7 years later. And it was like you're saying, after 08, and, the world had changed or whatever. And I come back and I was like, what do you mean tournaments aren't on the beach and ESPN's not like trying to show stuff and DVDs or whatever? And I was kind of just like really sad about it to see, like, because I was at an event and HK had become a company now. And so they turned it into a company because PB Fashion was popping when I was playing. But when I disappeared, Josh Myers, Marky, Scott, or not Scott, Marky, Nobby, Jay, Brandon, you guys all know the names. They turned that PB Fashion HK, they just grew it into this, industry leader. But at the time, it was still just like shirts, jerseys and pants. And I came and they had a booth where they're selling, some headbands. But we were like one of the only ones. And that was like a NPPL or a PSP at like SC Village. And I was like, back in my day, it was like how you guys have World Cup now. You know what I mean? It was an experience.
Massive. Yeah.
Yeah. When I came here, I was like, this felt like a, just like a local regional event. And that was just the state of the world. And it wasn't really paintball's fault at the time.
What year was that, Cass, that you got? Was it like 11 or 12, somewhere in there?
That might be like 09.
09. Okay.
Yeah, 09 or 010. And that was just one of those things where I was like, I just learned a few things about cameras.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, they're not there yet, but I'll just play with it. So I had a couple of crappy cameras and tried to do some things, and started with, just like, Bobby and Scotty and Marky, and then we're still doing their thing. And then I went to Best Buy. This is not a sellout for Best Buy. I'm sorry. Got a credit card and bought a better camera, a DSLR, and then bought a computer, and then just started doing it. And we, I was like, let's put this on the HK channel. You guys don't have an HK channel that's like 4 paintball videos. And I don't think anyone's really doing this at the time, but we grew up wanting to. You played a tournament. What was the first thing you guys were hoping for? A magazine?
Warpig.
Yes, Warpig. I have some Warpig links, but you're hoping you remade the magazine. You're hoping the DVD caught that play you made, like that content.
Yeah,
it's like what we had lived for too when we weren't.
Most of my early deals, like early sponsorships as a kid. I mean, turned pro at 15, so you're not really getting paid a ton of money. But I remember Virtue and actually PB Fashion were the 2 sponsors that did this. If you were seen in a magazine, you got X amount if it was a half page, X amount if you were on the cover, awesome. and the logo was showing on you. So I'd always wear the PB Fashion undershirt that just had the PB Fashion logo under, which, still have it, never
That's
getting
awesome.
rid of that thing. The thing's amazing.
That's a good one. Yeah.
But 100%. But you're right. Like you were always hoping like, oh man, hopefully you're in a magazine like that. As a kid, that was, are you kidding? Like I would go to Barnes and Noble and see some of these magazines, that was kind of the lore. The superheroes were in the magazines.
Yeah. So around that time, this is before social media, but we had like Facebook and MySpace, right? And YouTube. So like you had a place where you wanted to post some things, you know what I mean? So content was growing, and I just rode that wave because now I could afford a camera that could start to do some things I wanted to do. And I just ran after it.
Well, you paved it. You paved the way.
I appreciate it. I just perfect timing. You know what I mean? Like this was my love. Paintball was like my first community, my biggest thing. And then now I've always wanted to make creative stuff with it, but never got the chance. And then now I was able to do it. I was playing, and then I was full-time school and part-time job. So I had time, you know what I mean, to paintball on the weekends, but I would film it.
Nobody ever did it the way that you did it, though. The way that you would marry the music with the moment in time, they would just be so perfectly matched together. And like you said, Cass, you were always kind of in the shadows, off to the side, unsuspecting, but catching everything, catching all the big moments, all the pandemonium, the chaos, just right there.
I appreciate it.
And it was I went back and watched this morning a bunch of them, and I watch them, just throughout the year, I'll go back and just watch my videos that I love. And there's so many that, like I said, the way that you brought the style of music, that really upbeat, fast paced, high tempo, it married so well with paintball.
No, I appreciate that.
Let's share one real quick, if you don't mind. And this one is the NPPL Las Vegas 2010. So this is not long after you started, but this was an absolute banger. So the fact that
that's one of the
do this.
That's one of the ones that was like it got the people talking. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's not one of the ones I would watch nowadays.
It's like, so good though. Like,
no, I appreciate that.
It has the whole crew, the original crew. Even Bear is in this. You got who else? The Dream. You got Dreamy Marcus Nielsen running around in here.
Yeah, Marcus is always one of the key factors of when we're growing up.
Here we go. Let me.
He paved the way for the run through.
Here we go.
All right, we got the whole crew here. NPPL Vegas 2010.
I used to wear those brass knuckles all the time too.
Oh yeah, baby. Yeah. Still got them.
I mean, again, this is like you're just making paintball look so epic right now, Here, and actually, I'm gonna pull this off.
Kenny,
dude,
there's Dream.
The lifestyle here, man. Marcus. Yeah. Shout out Marcus Nielsen.
Yeah.
Rainy.
Yeah, Rain.
LJ.
And the music.
Chuck Schweez.
The music tied so good.
Well, this is when dubstep was like a new thing. So people are like, what am I even listening to right now?
Yeah, that's right.
For me, I'd already been doing it for like years.
Crazy.
That was Frage.
You can tell by when he gets shot, like the way he puts his hand up.
Yeah.
Young T-Harm.
Yeah.
Dude, this video is sick.
Little Bob Long action. Yeah. With the crossbody.
Kentucky left hand. KLH, baby. Listeners, you got to check the YouTube. You got to hang out with us. And look at this. Yeah, you got the rock star lifestyle.
Yep. Partying in the club.
Man. Oh.
Little vomit.
Paul Caddick.
Yep. Ollie with the Ironman back in the day. Yeah, nobody had paired the music and the lifestyle with the game.
Watched this one in years.
Wow. Yeah, I haven't either. This is one of your first videos. I mean, I feel like creators today are like still trying to mimic this, and it just kind of struggle to get it,
Well, you got to be in the right place.
There's Mouse.
Yeah, there he was.
Yeah, there are. The creators are crushing it nowadays too. But this just paved. This was it. It had never been done. Not like this. Mr. H.
Mr. H.
Yeah. Explicit back in the day. OG Avalanche. B-Cat.
Oh, Tyler.
They got me.
They got him.
It's Impact
JC.
too. It's JC.
Yeah, that is funny. Yeah. We've been getting each other for a long time. It just goes back and forth.
That's right. Dude.
Wow, what a video, man. What a video.
Marcus.
Yep. And this was 77s out in the desert in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
People ripping it, going, out partying all night, coming back, playing paintball in the morning. Tampa.
I actually played a point at this tournament too.
No shit. Oh, Sarah
and
Underwood.
got a penalty.
Yo, that's right. Sarah Underwood commentated one of these events. Like, that's crazy.
Yep, that was when I forget the network, but yeah, she came out.
G4, I think.
G4, that's right. Yep, dude, that infamous.
Your memory is fucking good.
Yeah, that infamous squad was insane at this time.
I was on that infamous team.
Yeah, the squad was stacked.
We were okay. We underperformed, I think. We only won one event.
PB Fashion. Oh, that's the thing too. So back then with like YouTube and stuff like that, we couldn't get HK Army.
So
we did PB Fashion as like the name of the account. And then later on, once it got popular and stuff, they were able to help us out and, redirect it to HK Army and HK Army clothing and stuff like that.
HK still puts those PB Fashion little stamps on headbands. They have them at the shop.
That's the original.
I've told Brandon, man, I don't know if I can say this. Never mind.
No more.
Yeah,
no more.
Right.
No, not you. I was saying stop putting putting more PB Fashion things on there. Keep it going.
No. See, I disagree. I think HK Army should use PB Fashion as their like high end kind of fashion brand. I think that'd be dope. You know, you could like rival Hormesis in that regard. He was so turned off by it a couple years ago when I brought it up to him. I'm like, dude, this is such a good idea. Like, I'll spearhead this, please. There's a space for it.
Without it.
Maybe I'll talk to him again.
Brandon for me, it was really funny because he wasn't a part of the original like Hostel Kids and that or whatever. He was like another generation that came in. It was like him, Paul Caddick, and others. But it was one of those where instantly you could tell like this guy just is
one of us.
All love, one of us, all about paintball. And then the PB Fashion stuff, same thing, is all him. Just let's turn this into a business and start doing that. And that's when I disappeared. So I missed out on all that. So that's why I always, when I came back now and started making those videos and just like started doing more and more and more, I was still in school, had a part-time job, and it was tough. You know what I mean? And luckily HK was starting to like grow and get bigger, but it was still like not a full-time, gig. So it made it harder. That's for sure. But I got better and better at it. And then I became like full-time at HK, but full-time at HK, I still had to pay the bills living in Southern California, and in HK and paintball, them, no offense to them, that's not realistic in a way. So I still had to film a lot of stuff outside of paintball. Like I did music videos. I did a lot of like hockey and other and then I started doing gaming because it was like a no-brainer. Like I grew up my whole life doing the gaming stuff. And luckily, like Enrique, like Oz, Oreo, like their brothers, they're one of the ones at Astro Gaming who was like, hey, can we pay you to do this like Call of Duty event or whatever? And I started doing that, and then people, like the whole world changed again, because then esports was like flying through the roof. Yeah. And that's when I was starting to actually like feel like I was getting it together in the paintball world, because like that video you guys just showed right there, like that was just me, like you said, like I'm just doing it, have fun, trying to like show like what we're doing and enjoying it. Some people didn't like it, some people did. But like as the years went on, that was like my number one advice to everyone who asked about like, what's your advice for paintball, like videos or whatever. I was like, for me, I was like, just make a video that you would like try to make it for yourself. And if you're a paintballer, like you should understand what that means. And if you can't do it, just keep working on it, and then if you had a love beforehand. So like when esports people would ask me, like, how do I start filming documentaries and making this gaming stuff or whatever? I was like, is this like your first true love? Or did you have something else like I did paintball? Like start with that. Like start with something that you feel passionate about, so that that like if it's not feeling right to you, like that could be okay, but like make sure you're trying to show it to the right people, who like also have that love, and they'll give you real answers, if they like it or not. I think nowadays and age it's harder because everyone's making content to make content, what I mean? But for me, and that's why like I'm telling people like I want to come back to paintball. It's the same thing where like I want to come back to making something that I really want to make for myself, but also for paintball, that like is just all like passion and love. Like you guys are making PTG, I'm sorry. Like you guys wouldn't be doing this if this wasn't your passion and your desire. You know what I mean? Of course, like you can financially, it's awesome or whatever, and it's good for marketing and yourself or whatever, and you guys are leagues ahead of others and been doing it for so long. I'm proud of you guys. That's all I'm getting at.
Thank you,
you guys are killing it. That. Yeah. And like, but it's the same thing that like, if you guys were just doing this to make money or whatever, people could see through that and it wouldn't last long. You know what I mean? So that's like just my always advice. And if not, then, find something else.
Be passionate. Yeah. I love that, Cass. That's the same thing I tell my boys, it's like, don't get boxed in by what you think is the right thing to do. What do you love? What resonates with you? Do that, because you're going to go miles and miles and miles for that, whatever that is. And whatever it is, I'll support you and I'll be there for you, and it's just like, you got to follow that passion, because life is tricky and it's slippery. And before you know it, you're been doing something for 25 years. And like, what where did it go? You know, so you've gotta really just follow your heart. And through that, just like what you did, Cass, you've created amazing masterpieces of art is really what I assimilate it to. And did you, like, when you're making these, so you got 09 to, let's see, you did Cloud9 for 9 years, right? So
yeah,
that
I was
was
almost at my 10 years at Cloud9, but I think for HK, I stopped like 2015. There might be like 1 or 2 in January 2016, but yeah, like 2015 is like the final year, and that's why that World Cup video, right? Marcelo, you know, and
I have that one queued up here.
Yeah, like that was one of those ones where I was like, okay, I finally felt like I put something out that I've been wanting to do for paintball, because from the very beginning, when I was learning and paintball stuff like that too, I was really like, I'm trying to make excuses here, but I always felt like I wasn't able to make what I wanted to make. You know what I mean? Like, I always felt like if you want to actually film paintball and do these things, you need like 20 camera angles. You need like all these cameras and drones and all this stuff. And this is before drones existed and all these things. And so that's why throughout the years, you see the quality go higher, because not only HK is getting bigger, so they can afford to, like, they can rent a camera. It's not that expensive, but just showing the insurance or whatever that like I was using on a music video. So I know how to use and do this, and I want to use it for a paintball video. So they had that confidence and like, okay, well, don't break it. And now we got to spend $60,000 on stuff. But for me, I was like, no one's doing this in paintball, and I want to do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
did you realize when you were doing it that you were like paving a whole new way for the culture? Because from those moments, there's been so many creatives, and you are an inspiration to countless creatives out there that are still involved in the game. But while you're doing it, it's just through the love of it, and just capturing the moments. You're not thinking, oh, I'm making revolutionary stuff right now. Or are you?
I think I was, because coming from sorry, I gotta get water in a minute.
No, take care of yourself.
And you guys are choking me up too, so I'll get water in a second too. But for me,
thank you all from the bottom of our hearts for the tremendous support with the PTG show. If you are enjoying these episodes and want to help with the progress and development of this program and connect with like-minded, hungry paintball players, then head on over to ptgpodcast.com, click the orange Patreon link, and become a member of the PTG World Discord chat room. And now back to the show.
Actually, let's take one. Can we take a little break?
Yeah, go ahead, dude. Grab your guys' water. All good.
And then we're actually going to show.
We're going to start. Yeah, let's show the World Cup video.
All right.
Is that
Ty?
I love that one.
Let's run it. So this is from 2015. This is just before Cassidy joins with Cloud9 Gaming. Hold on, March. Let's pause it there. Show the tournament, how small it was. We kind of talked about that.
Yeah, we did. This is crazy. This is World Cup 2015. So it's the inception of the NXL right here. Yeah. And you only have 4 divisional fields in the back. See where the pro field is? That's where like the entrance kind of is now. You look at the parking over off to the right. You can tell there's another field there. I think that was like the 10-man field. But yeah, it was a small little venue. I mean, you have here where the Empire tent is. I think that's kind of where the pro field like grandstands are now. Not grandstands, VIP side. So then the field is like a little to the right of that. But it's just amazing to see what it has turned into. It has grown so much, become so massive. World Cup had like 14 fields, just an absolute massive. I mean, this place is packed out now at World Cup.
Round of applause to the paintball community. We're growing.
Yeah. Look at that. It's so funny.
Damn. Yeah, this was a crazy game.
I actually had people feel the opposite way though when that video came out. Like people from the gaming world were like, "Oh my god, it looks huge!" You know what I mean? Like,
right?
That's insane. Like, how much money are these guys making?
Right.
And I've been like, I don't know if we want to talk about that right now.
Cass, I don't know if it's intentional or not, but your video's not on. If you know,
there we go. So this is the game. And I think this has like 5 million something views on it. So it did really well.
This is before short form and all those days too. That's why.
Yeah, totally. This one's a little longer. We probably won't go through the whole thing. It's 9 minutes, but I mean, just a master class of a video. And I guess obviously I'm biased. This was a good video for us.
We're all biased here.
Yeah.
This huddle right here.
There you are, Tyler. I was like, Tyler's right over my shoulder.
Yeah.
That's the GOAT right there.
these moments, man. Yeah, this was a bittersweet tournament for me because early in the tournament, I injured myself. And so I wasn't able to actually play in the finals, but I felt like I helped out. Damn.
You were a big part in the pits for sure, man.
Yeah.
Huge voice,
Yeah.
great teammate, a lot of good information. That's
Yeah.
invaluable, as you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hurt yourself in the the tournament before the tournament. I forgot what they did, but they were testing like 2 pods or something.
Yeah.
Super lame. I think we won that one though.
Yeah.
Tyler, did you win a World Cup before this?
This is my first World Cup win.
Okay.
Yeah. We fucking flow.
So sick. And then going right into the breakout.
Yeah.
Man. And this Heat team was stacked. Fedorov, they had Malloy, Sergey,
Yep.
Chad George when he was like at the height of his game. Sewers. Man. Our team was stacked too, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the music and the captures, man.
Woo. Mishka bounces me in the pack there. That's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy. I was okay trading with him in that move, but it was like,
yeah, this was a neck and neck fight all the way to the end.
we were down. It was 4-1. We were down big, and we mounted a comeback. Yeah, it ended up being 4-1, and we came back, tied it up, went ahead. Or maybe 3-1. I don't think it was 4-1. I think it was 3-1.
Hey, we need a charge. Come on.
Felt like it was 4-1.
Charging up.
Charge.
So much of paintball is energy, man, as we all know. And
Sports, it's mental, dude. You got to be in the right place mentally. You got to be confident. You got to be energized. It's a lot, internally.
Yeah. We got Rusty Glaze on the ones and twos on the board there.
See, the thing with this video too is, like I was mentioning over the years, it's like I wouldn't be able to do this by myself. You know what I mean? So not only technology has gotten better, the broadcast has gotten better.
Totally.
I have Kakuza relationship. Dan, he was filming with Eclipse at the time, I think. Now he's doing like the Hormesis and Iron Kid stuff. Like, it's fantastic. Was also starting to do a lot of stuff with HK at the time. Wouldn't be able to do this story if I didn't have all those camera angles.
Yeah. No, it takes a team to create something like this. We got 3 to 2.
For me, though, like having all that and fighting for that to be able to tell that story, like you just mentioned, it's special for you, Tyler and Marcelo, like especially Spica. But for me, it's like we all grew up watching Oliver and Alex, and Ryan, you know what I mean? And then now you guys get to go out there and win with them against the top in the world.
Incredibly special. This was the year that I joined Dynasty too, and we didn't do super well the first 2 tournaments I was with them, and so to be able to win at World Cup and then play a meaningful part on the Dorito side was definitely really special. This is a time, like you said, where you still looked up to. I had played with Oliver. He was on the Ironman when I first turned pro. We won a couple championships together there, but Ryan, Yosh, Alex, like really the go-to the sport. Yeah. Give me 1 sec.
Pause it real quick when it's showing you. I think a little bit
like
yeah, it is. Yes, that is ag. 100%. But for me, what another aspect that's like the growth in China is like, look, you're using an HK Army loader, mask, pants, and like that's crazy. You know what I mean? That we went from like just these kids running around with headbands and shirts to like, oh my God, it's all overlaying. You know what I mean? To now you're winning the biggest event you can win against the best players in the world. And you're using all this gear that was designed and created by the brand. Like, that's just crazy to me. So I feel very fortunate to be able to come back, help push it in that direction, and then capture that. So,
no doubt, dude. No doubt. I want to talk to you about that right when we're done with this, actually, about the importance of.
That's all right. That's why I wanted to pause it, because I was like, that's, like, that's, when I watch that, I don't even think about that either. That, like, you're wearing HK Army goggles. Like that's crazy to me.
And I think they had just dropped like this year.
Yeah, it was like a year or 2 before that. So it's just crazy.
Yeah.
What better time to have something like this happen?
All right, tie
this
game.
This final point is so crazy. Man.
Yeah, it's
not this one. It's the next one, I guess. But
shout out to B Short. Let's go Short. One of the best, if not the GOAT.
Would you call him A-Rod or just Alex Rodriguez? What did you call him?
A-Rod.
Yeah, A-Rod.
Yeah. Like this next point, I think he was out there.
Yeah, and I want to pause this too, because this is Oliver, and Oliver is so special. This is like arguably the biggest moment in the biggest tournament. It's World Cup. The score is 3-3, and there's like a minute and a half. And Oliver says, put A-Rod in, because A-Rod, he wasn't getting a lot of play time, but Oliver felt that A-Rod was going to be a big part of Dynasty's future. And he's like, this is an important moment for him to go out and develop. He sat himself for A-Rod to go in and have this moment. And that's just something that you don't see superstars do. Oliver's like ability to bring the people around him with him that is why, to me, he will always be the GOAT. I understand the argument for Ryan. Ryan has done it for so much longer. He's won more at this point. You could argue that his like ceiling of playing ability is better than what Oliver's was. But again, now they're kind of different eras as well. Ryan stayed continuously. It's 1A and 1B, but for me, it's just Oliver is like so special in the way that he brings people with him. So that's why A-Rod.
I didn't think about that because all the points leading up to that, you have Oliver in the center.
Totally.
Like
Oliver did this. Rusty called Oliver's name. He's like, no, put A-Rod in. Like, I remember it vividly. Because I remember I was like, yo, this is a big moment. But all right, let's go, A-Rod. Let's go. And he did it. He did it. He had a great point.
Oh, look at you two. That's crazy.
Let's go, March.
Played a game. This one was special, but 2020 World Cup was, man, I wish you could have captured that one, Cass, because we had a hell of a story. So this,
I probably got footage. Oh, 2020, sorry.
2020, yeah. I'm like,
my brain. I was thinking 2012. I don't know why. Imagine I was there just hidden.
Dude.
Not possible.
Fedorov should have got a major here. You'll see. Because I shoot him like 4 steps before he shoots me.
He does the hop into the middle. Sewers.
Yeah, so shoot Malloy there.
Fetty gets hit.
Look at the ball that see right there. He gets hit and he keeps going, keeps shooting, finally shoots me. Fortunately, I was able to shoot him and Malloy. Slow-mo is the best.
Slow-mo.
Yeah, true.
Everything's
bang in real time.
I've seen people.
But I remember in real time being like, because I shot him and tucked in, and I'm like, and he kept going. And then Kyle with the miraculous 1-on-2 saved that. Dude, getting to watch that right there too. Like I saw that right there. Bro, this was a feeling right here. Oh my God, that feeling right there. Watching that right there and seeing the hit. Exactly. I see the hit on Greg's thing and we won World Cup,
Yeah.
That screenshot right there, that's where if a ref calls it the other way, you're probably changing your whole life style.
Yeah.
Like you're saying things you've never said before to someone.
Totally.
You're done.
Yeah, I was so convinced, and Kyle.
Like you could be the nicest person in the world, right, Marcella? You're probably like
I would have went nuclear
for sure. Damn.
Oh, this was epic, man.
Hoist them up.
Incredible.
Hoist them up. Oh my God. So much fun. These are those moments that keep us all coming back out there, things like
Special.
this. Yeah. Lauren Kelly.
Special.
Yeah, baby. That's a big dub.
Absolutely special.
Yeah, and you got Kyle here talking with Lauren Kelly. It's so dope.
My Sandana ripped in that event too. It ripped on Sunday.
Yeah,
that was it. Aftershock. They shot me, and it's kind of been retired ever since. I brought it out a few times.
Yeah, I saw. I can't remember when you busted that thing out.
A few times. Yeah. I patched it up.
Is it one of your like good luck items?
Yeah. Every so often bring it out, but
Scott Kemp's got my original HK Army headband. He's won a couple of World Cups wearing that thing.
Yeah, Scotty. Yeah. He was at the 2020 one that we won. He showed up just to win that one with us.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Cassidy, what I wanted to really talk to you about.
Dynasty.
Yeah. Go for it.
My bad. For companies, or any entrepreneur building a business, what is the importance of creating content, and how does that directly relate to sales? And when you were doing it, you know, like we talked about earlier, in my opinion, at least, you focused more on capturing the lifestyle and making the lifestyle look cool. It wasn't even always just about HK, but it was an HK produced thing that would still highlight other players, other companies, but it resonated with people so well that they wanted to buy HK, you know? What advice do you have to, again, entrepreneurs, business owners, creators, you know, at how they should be kind of marketing their company?
Well, yeah, content is king. That's for sure. And you know, you see that written everywhere. I think in the last couple of years, everything's changing, and now everything's changing again, right? Because of AI and all that madness. But really, it is like you can't move forward without it. You know what I mean? You have to be able to tell a story at the end of the day. And if you're just trying to make everyone all I'm getting at, I guess right now, is anyone can make top quality stuff. Everyone can make really good content. Everyone can make really good merch, product even, you know what I mean? It's a little difficult, you know, it takes money or whatever, but if someone wants to do it, they can do it. But at the end of the day, if you're not telling the story that you believe in and that you want to tell and grow what you want to grow, then you're not going to be successful. I think that's all it is for me. I don't know if that makes sense. Any sense?
What? No, yeah, you're saying that like the company or the entity, whatever it is that you're trying to sell or market or brand, there has to be a deep rooted reason for, or like a why, you know, and the whole reasoning, the essence, what's the vibration of the whole company, and you got to sell that and bring that to people and give them that story. Of course. Yeah.
I think with HK, it's just, you know, years of investment, and like everyone's about it, everyone's for it, and we've already gone through like the early days of PB Nation. We already went through all the hate and the growth and all that too. And I didn't shout a lot of the people I should have too, but you know, like Steve Kwan, Mike Bretto, like there's so many people on the early days that like why people even got HK stickers. Like, you know, I got Tyler, I got some PTG stickers laying on my desk from when you, I don't know when you sent me this.
Oh,
is probably from, you know, like literally 5 years ago too.
Yeah.
And it's just always been sitting here as a reminder of like, I gotta help Tyler out one day.
I love that. Well, hey, we're gonna see him, Cass. We're getting you back out there somehow. I don't know how we're gonna manifest this, but we're gonna get you back in the nets, man.
We can get real serious about it. I'm down to open up and talk about it.
Absolutely.
But for content, it's just like, yeah, now we have short form, we got everything. I've been doing this stuff with gaming. The whole game changed, honestly, and a lot of stuff. And what better time now for paintball? You know what I mean? Because now the quality's getting there. It's just now I'm happy with the pod change and stuff like that. I'm not happy with like the decision, or I'm not happy with it, like what it's going to do, because I don't know till we see it. But that's like a perfect example of when X-Ball came out, you know, and there's 7-man. It's like we need to do stuff differently. We need to figure out what's working and what's not working, because I can tell you, I could probably go through all my old text messages I sent to Marky and those when I was, you know, when I was away from paintball and I was no longer at HK and I was at Cloud9. I would still watch a majority, especially World Cup. I watched a lot of events when I could, even when there was paywalls behind that stuff. I would still be watching things, and I couldn't tell you how many messages where I'm like, I don't want to even watch this. Like, it's just like no one's moving. It's like the game ended like 2-1. You know what I mean? Like there was just a lot of things that like me from the esports gaming world, but everything's so fast and like in your face and like attention, or we're losing you, to then go watch that. Someone who loves paintball so much, I couldn't watch it. You know what I mean? Because I was just like, it's not entertaining. I'm not even seeing what I want to see. Like, it just felt.
Cass, do you think, I know, and that brings up an important question. Do you think that paintball can be mainstream from a media standpoint if we implement new strategies of technology?
Yes.
And also we have new strategies of incentivizing a more, I don't know, not fast style of play, but one that doesn't, like, we're gonna try to, I think, move on in the paintball rounds from margin to like points scored, obviously going with the 5 pods, and then just making small adaptations to incentivize movement and make it a fun and engaging game to watch, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. I think I'll shout out, you know, be short when you want to do the pro tour and the 1v1s and all that stuff. And I was really fortunate because I was around the HK times, and HK was cool with me helping short too, because the HK was just
it's short dog.
Also doing the 1v1 stuff like that. That's a perfect example of like, now I know Hormesis and Oliver's been doing it for a little bit, but that's an example of like, you have to make it more about the players and more about a story. Like there has to be a reason why people are watching. You know what I mean? It's the reason can't just be paintball. You know what I mean? Like no one, like everyone knows what paintball is. We're not trying to show people what paintball is. You have to you have to show the story.
Make them care.
Make them care. You know what I mean? If we're trying to just show people paintball, then that's like, Huntington Beach and those things. You know what I mean? You got to get it out in the public, and there's pros and cons to all of that. But when it comes to like you said, mainstream and things like that, that's a whole, like I got some theories, but those are paywalled also.
This ties into a good question from the Discord from Roy G Biv 1464. That's a name right there. Cassidy, to gather the funding and overall attention of big sponsors from companies that aren't involved in paintball, like Tide laundry detergent, just as an example, what do you think is the biggest hurdle getting them to see the value in this sport?
It's actually viewership. It's just ROI,
simply
and
numbers.
All that stuff too. It's simply numbers. You know what I mean? Like if you don't have someone over there, because in esports, I couldn't tell you how many people I ran into where they're like, "Wait, are you Cassidy from HK?" And I was like, "Yeah," because normally behind the scenes, and they're like, "Oh, I watched your videos. I played paintball, and now they're
dope
Strike World or whatever."
Yeah. Nice.
But like it's the same thing where we've moved past the point of, because in the esports world, if your game has guns and things like that too, that changes what sponsors and partners you can have.
Sure.
And paintball is still, in a sense, has that blocker. I mean, this is coming from like what I've seen outside of paintball. Like you're not going to have everything you could choose from because of like you're shooting people. You know what I mean? There's violence and things like that, even though that isn't what it is. And paintball is very safe compared to lots of other crazy extreme sports. That is still a blocker, but you can still get past those things if you have that viewership and you have that, like you can own it on social media and YouTube and stuff like that. And the only way to do that is with a lot of community help and coming together and working, and a lot of outside factors. I think a lot of people praised HK and us back in the day on being like, look, you're doing this with this artist and you're doing it at this event. And that's true. But even that is still like, we've not even like scratched the surface of where we could go with it, because now with social media, more people want to do things and be on camera and like, oh, Tyler have more followers than this person in this industry. He'll do it with you. You know what I mean? When before you had to pay money or whatever. And the only part is, right, you guys are both competitors. Like you guys are both pro athletes. You do have to find a way to carve time into, now am I also for marketing and
marketing?
You know what I mean? So like that has to be a part of it. And we could do a whole nother episode, because I'm down to still talk for a long amount of time. So it's up to you guys. But what I've seen from like the esports and gaming stuff is just another clear aspect of, I think paintball and the broadcast has gotten a lot better. They're doing really, really good, but it's still at that point where like, what about the pro teams and what about you guys? Like, how are you guys promoting and getting bigger and doing that? And there's
Cassidy,
so many things you can do.
real quick, dude. Like this, we've talked about this on the show a few times, and I'm not trying to beat them up over it, but Go Sports released a pretty cool documentary following World Cup called Make or Break, and Tyler and myself didn't even know it was being released on Christmas Day. So we did an episode like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we were talking to Tom Cole about, the lack of content that's been posted from Go Sports, or, there's a ton of stuff on Instagram. I think that's different. That's not quite the same. It's in and out of the mind. We want to immortalize the stories of the players and turn them into superheroes like we did in the past. That's how you get young kids and fans that are like, oh, I want to do this. I want to be like Tyler Harmon. I want to be like this person. And come to my attention, Tom didn't even know that there was a piece, right? But then the creators of it reach out to me like, Marcelo, what the hell, man? Like, we released this whole piece. It's really well done. Like, what are you talking about? And I was like, what are you talking about? And so I went and looked and watched. I'm like, oh my God. okay, well, one, this is a massive failure that I didn't know this had been released. You know, I think that's a massive failure. Two, we have a massive team here, you know, with like Ronnie D's on our platform, Spick and Span Show. All they have to do is be like, hey, all the pro players, we're releasing this on this date. It would really go a long way if you all shared it. That alone would make sure that the numbers on these things are doing probably 10 times better, you know, and help things go viral. And that alone, and it's a free thing to do. It does not cost any money. It just takes a little bit of effort, a little bit of time. And I get it. Again, I know that the teams are spread so thin and they're just trying to put out good content. And like, these are things that in other industries probably aren't necessary or the normal flow of operation, but paintball's not that, and it's not there. And we have small teams doing a lot of things. You know, in regards to like the Go Sports team, it's very small. They're spread very thin. Understand that. The Major League Paintball team, very small, very thin. I get it. But these are just little things that moving forward, like if you're going to release a big piece, you know, maybe Maddie should do a podcast or an episode on Go Sports talking about the upcoming, you know, release, or at least tell us so that we could promote it as well. These things would go a long way, you know, and that's kind of your podcast. Yeah.
I think because Go Sports, right, they're like the main broadcast for all the you guys. So you as pro players are playing for, like, you know, what do you call it? Not a tournament, a league. You guys are playing for a league, you know, to be pro athletes. Your contract with them or whatever, that should be a part of like you're required. You know what I mean? Like, you not only should you know about it, it's not your fault, Marcelo, but like that should be from the beginning of the year. Like you guys should all be on the same page.
Partnership for sure.
Totally. Well, like
there is pros and cons, right, to partnerships, but it's the same thing that if you guys are on the same page and even them themselves are on the same page, but it's the same thing of, that's why I keep hammering about like, we had no managers. We were just, it was wild west. It's the same thing as, I don't know how this pro team operates versus this team operates and how they operate with the league. Also, like there has to become standards. So then, you know, like, oh yeah, they'll talk about it on the podcast. It's like, no, they won't if they don't know it exists. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
exactly.
Not checking something that everyone needs to check and come up to. Cause I'm sure you guys have meetings and like pro player, like boards maybe. You know what
I mean, like, dude, we don't really.
It's all behind the scenes.
That's what I'm saying. But even behind the scenes, that's the thing, is like you have to do that.
Right.
And then it's harder because it is, you know, this is me bias coming back, not being the scenes and changes or whatever, is there's a lot of gatekeeping. You know, there's a lot of gatekeeping and there's a lot of politics. And for me, I'm hoping that's gotten better, but I do have to step back and realize like, okay, it is an industry that's trying to sell things. You know what I mean? So like people want to grow paintball if it grows their pockets. Right.
Right.
But like at a certain point, doesn't everyone want to grow their pockets? So why don't you guys work together? And if you start failing, then that means you gotta do better.
Let's grow the pie. Get the pie really big.
A great way to incentivize is if Go Sports gave all the teams a very small percentage of revenue share, very small to start, you know, but that's ultimately the goal, or should be the goal. You know, that's how you really monetize this thing. Then every single player in the pro league would be incentivized to get people to sign up to watch Go Sports. You know, it's such an obvious thing.
But devil's advocate, would you rather have them give you like a little piece of revenue, or instead take that money they'd give you and give it to some other, like someone who could bring way more attention and viewership to paintball? You know what I mean? Like if they give this amount of money to the pro players who are doing it and deserve it, would you rather have that money go into something that actually will take everyone, like the viewership up? You know,
like what? Because they've done
Netflix. If we did a documentary,
they've already paid for this stuff on ESPN. They paid for it, right? Like they are doing that, and it is helping. And yes, absolutely, a Netflix documentary taking funds and doing that 100%. I will make the argument forever, though, that it's our likeness that you're selling as well. So the players should benefit in some way, and it would in turn also help the league. Well, not the league, I guess.
Well, did you guys get to vote or anything on like Netflix or ESPN?
No. So we're paying customers, right?
Yeah, that's the big difference. Is I'm not blaming Go Sports or anything too, but just like you have to know where like that value is. You know what I mean? Like ESPN and stuff's cool, but is there actual value in that for paintball and growing it?
I don't know. A little bit,
like,
I will.
No, there
will
is.
say,
But I'm saying,
yeah.
but like the amount of money you're spending on that, is it?
What's the
right
real
avenue?
ROI? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you see that for many years. You know, like the ESPN thing 20 years ago with Oliver Lang and Dynasty playing the Naughty Dogs, that certainly had a very lasting impact. You know, if I meet strangers, they know about paintball largely because of that. That's the thing that they reference that they saw, even if they've never played. So I guess there's not an ROI from that directly.
Well,
but I
think, let me pause you real quick. I am also the opposite of, I will go out and do stuff with no ROI all the time. You know what I mean?
I think
because
you need to.
Yeah, like if you're trying to go out to make money only, or that's like your main goal, then there's going to be failure most likely. You know what I mean? There might be success, but it's like a different type of success or whatever. But like, you got to have that, like we said throughout this whole, and you guys probably do on every episode, is the passion and the love in the right places. Totally. and be able to do that. You know what I mean? Like you guys doing this right now, you know, like, I don't know how much money you're making to do it, you know, and things like that, but you got to have that drive for it to do it. And
we enjoy
that's probably really hard.
Yeah.
True. But that's really hard decisions for when like in a league is paying for the location, the broadcast equipment, and all, like they have to pay those bills. Totally. And so and then people are responsible for making those decisions. It's just like you say, they're spread thin. When I come from esports, I've seen the highest tier of production and marketing and all that. And I've also seen where it's like 2 people in a room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And sometimes these are way bigger than these ones, you know what I mean? Because it's all about community and what your goal is, you know?
Sure.
Yeah, they're linked in with a different energy, and that energy comes through in the production, and the community shows out in different ways than the bigger, so-called bigger ones do, you know. But yeah, that's really interesting, Cass. And I think so. You saw they did. They have one that's dropping soon. They did the Road to a Championship, highlighting the Yakimek family, and then Billy Bernaccia. I don't know if you saw that that piece. It's a really, really good piece. Actually, I would highly advise you go watch that cast on the Go Sports or Major League Paintball Plus. They have that video, the Road to a Championship, and the way they did that was masterful. And I know that you'll appreciate it. And I think that if you were to put 6 or 7 of those together and make a season, I think you could sell that to a Netflix or to one of these Amazon streaming platforms or something of that nature. And I think that something like that, especially if we were able to do one on Netflix, because that's where all the eyes are.
Yeah.
Something like that.
What's the F1 one? You know, the Drive to Survive.
Right.
That's right. That's a perfect example where, in like, at least for where I'm from,
illuminated the sport.
Exactly. From where I was from, no one, like, I never cared about F1 or like, you know, whatever. I knew other people who loved it, or like people in other countries who were like all about it. But that's a perfect example of now people who are in love with it on Netflix. I'll give one more example, right? Is my wife.
They fall in love with the people. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at. Is another example is my wife grew up hockey, you know, in her family or whatever. And so she didn't even know how football worked. You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean? Like, they got to get a first down or whatever. And I grew up in the golden age of, you know, like Deion Sanders and like loving those people or whatever. And that was it. But when they made, I forgot the name of the football one. It's just like how the, you know, the starting 5 with basketball.
Yeah.
But when they did the football one, and I was just watching it, just watch something, she loved it. And now she loves, like, you know, what's Kettle, you know, long hair. And, you know, like, she loves the people, you know what I mean? And then she started to understand the sport or whatever. So I think what you're saying is true. You know what I mean? If you had the right people making the right series that tells the right stories on Netflix, that would kill. And I'm sure there's, I don't know the logistics at the moment on Netflix and the rights and like how you get the money to get it on that platform, but I'm sure there's some big time executive people looking for what's that next F1 drive to, you know, survive. But then they're like, we'll pay for this, but what companies are gonna give us money, you know what I mean, to do it? And it's harder that when they come in and they're all excited and you hear about like an industry being big, but then will that industry give them money is the hard part. And now that's what I'm feeling.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Yeah, and I'm down to talk
Yeah.
about that too, but I love this conversation, so we can keep it
Yeah.
going.
Yeah. March, I know you had something you wanted to hit on with,
Yeah.
I think it had to do with the fact that Rachel didn't know anything about football.
Oh,
but then-
yeah. No, I mean, dude, I talk about that all the time because everyone's like, oh, our game's too complicated. You can't understand paintball. It's not viewable. I'm like, do you realize how complicated football is? We just don't think that because we grew up with it. So we understand the rules. But I remember very clearly when I first started watching football as a young man, young boy, I did not have a clue what was going on. 4 downs, what's this, what's that, you know, what, even though there's a focal point, the whole thing, I fell in love with the game after I fell in love with players and teams, you know, and the storylines. That's when I fell in love with the game. Yep. Then I learned the game, you know, in and out throughout, you know, fantasy football. And now as I'm older, gambling and all this stuff, we need these things in paintball for people to understand and care about it. It's not so much about the game. The game is great. We love playing it. The game is fantastic. It's as somebody who understands paintball, I do love watching Go Sports. I watch paintball almost every single day, at least a game, almost every single day, religiously. And I enjoy it. I genuinely enjoy it. I understand I'm biased. I understand that I understand the game, but we need to get people to that point because it's not that we need to change everything. You know, again, football has the same hurdles. It really does. Like if you've never watched football before, you don't have a clue what's going on. Even if there's just one ball and you know that it has to get over the goal line, like you're confused most of the game. So it's not about that to me. It's about the stories. It's about the personalities.
No, 100%.
Yeah. You know, and I will die on that hill here on PTG and say that forever. But yeah.
There's that famous clip of Jules Foote. I think it's Jules Foote, right? And one of Quitman's 818 videos where he's like, paintball is not a spectator sport, you know, and like, I think there is some weight to that, you know what I mean? Of like, the technology, especially back then, you couldn't see paint or whatever. I think the technology is there now 100%. Yes. It's just not being utilized the way it should be. And like you're saying, but now we're at that point where it doesn't matter about like the seeing the paint, you know what I mean? Everyone knows, okay, there's tournament paintball, there's competitive gaming, you know what I mean? Esports. So like that doesn't shock people anymore like it did years ago. So now it is about the storytelling, you know what I mean? And I think that's now people have known that for years too, but it's just a matter of getting the right people behind it and pushing it.
Yeah. And we're actually looking to move towards everybody using a yellow or a bright, like neon yellow ball, which will help obviously when we start picking up stuff. There's also the whole glow frontier that we've, that has broke out into paintball and is taking over. And I think there's something there as well, where we could even play in the daytime with black lights right on top of the field and have the balls be illuminated with that kind of technology. Or even, you know, I have a vision of seeing paintball, just having a paintball field in an NBA stadium with like black lights over the top of it and the two teams going at it round after round. You have like, you know, whatever quarters or however you want to make the format. But there's an opportunity with this new neon type of futuristic age in paintball as well that I think that it could be game changing in the future.
No, I agree. I'm kind of a little biased. I think the glow paintball is really cool. You know what I mean? I think HK and others, everyone's doing it, and it's really cool for like, you know, social things and content.
But it's too dark with just the black light. But if
I think even technology will get better. You know what I mean? I actually took my oldest Fox. I took him to one of those to watch it in person too. So I have like opinions on watching in person. But I'm very biased that, like when I grew up and I first met Marky and Scotty, we had an indoor paintball field right down the street. And I went and watched them play, and I was like, I don't like this. I even played at a couple of indoor paintball fields, like later on, and that's when you had like, you know, like Goat and Anson Hong and just being a menace out there. And for some reason, it just didn't feel the same to me compared to outdoor. So everyone's different, you know what I mean? That's just me playing, not even visually. I filmed indoor paintball too before, and that was difficult.
It's
back
a disaster.
Then. So, so it's much harder. These days, that's for sure.
No doubt. There's not many good indoor places. It's really difficult to pull that off. But I think with the right amount of funding, you could. And Tyler's vision is definitely an interesting one. But yeah, even stuff just like the telestrator, you know, having that to show on the broadcast, you know, where players are shooting and in what direction. Just like in golf, you know, I know golf viewership took a huge spike when they had the tracker. You know, that makes it so much more interesting when they put the tracker on the ball. And even on social media, it's, you know, all the massive profiles, the ball tracker is such a big part of that. You know, it's like, it's kind of captivating, you know.
I think the game and the story is more important in my opinion still, though. Like me being biased, like I'm always openly, transparently honest to a fault. Like I did not want to watch like a stalemate game. You know what I mean? I don't want to watch someone just like shooting lanes, you know, and then like going down to the wire. I get why that's amazing in person, and then playing it and like feeling it, because I've been there all weekend, you know, like and like the intense. But for like media and things like that, it's like that's not it. You know, you need someone running through and getting like 3 or doing something physical that's like, what did he just do? So that not only like you're impressed yourself as like a diehard paintball person, but then when someone else is watching it, you're like, whoa, what's going on here?
Cassidy, that stuff is happening every single point. Every single point, there's a pretty amazing athletic feat or skilled shot or high level IQ move that is being made.
Oh, I know.
Even if it's just a dive into the snake. If we did a better job in between points of showing slow motion instant replays of that, that's the stuff that I think would captivate people. You see Tyler doing this 100%. Insane jump dive into the corner. You're like, whoa, wait, what did this guy just do? You know, and in real time, you watch it and it looks cool. But when the commentators replay it 2 or 3 times, you're like, can you believe this? Look, there was the lane underneath and he jumps over. Yeah. Now the viewer's like, oh my Lord, that's so sick. That's what we need to do. Period. No, again, like full stop. I would love for us to put all of our resources into that kind of stuff, because that's what immortalizes the moments, the moves, the players. It's what turns them into superheroes. You know, you can't just watch something once and
that plus, like you're saying, this change with the 5 pods, that's like in the right direction, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Because you got to get people out of their bunkers and doing those things. You know what I mean? And if it's not the amount of paint and it's the gameplay or whatever, I know like some other content creators are talking about like make it like Counter-Strike and stuff like that. And of course I'm biased, I'm a vote and I'm gonna say Counter-Strike. Yes, let's do that. But that's like me coming from 7-man. I don't know if you guys remember, and I'm sorry because of time, but like I feel like there was a way where you had to play like 3 matches, right? Or something like you had to play a best of where you're trying to get more points, like how many people are alive or how much, you know, you got to do this before the time ends. So there is like this mix,
a crunch. Yeah.
Like I hate comparing things to traditional sports. Trust me, because coming from esports, that's what everyone does. Sure. Like it should be more like this, but and then now you're ruining what made it become popular in the first place. But paintball is a prime example of, if you are trying to make something that's more action and for the people at the event and on media, like your replays and stuff like that, there has to be like shot clocks and timers and things. Like there has to be a purpose of why they're doing it. You know what I mean? And I don't know if that's rounds or if the game's shorter, but there has to be a reason why you can't be here just trying to win a game. Because at the end of the day, and this is what esports is going through a lot and having problems with, is people are getting better at everything. You know what I mean? You're all getting more athletic. You're all getting stronger. You're both your game. You know, like what is your gun skill? You're
just getting snapshot and gunfighting. All that.
And then your game sense is getting better. Maybe not for some people or whatever, and that's very important. But like the quality is so high that now you have to make a game that helps elevate those things. I kind of lost myself in that, but so I don't know.
No, dude, you're absolutely right. A lot of it comes down to the field layouts.
Oh, that's yeah. So what I was saying is everyone's but the double-edged sword of that is, if this is World Cup or a big event, I've never won a big event before. If I'm just some random person, I'm gonna sit in this bunker and hold this lane if that's what it takes to win. You know what I mean? Because that's the game I'm playing. So why would I do anything else? I don't care if you're watching or whatever. And that's what I feel has happened to a lot of it. Because over those years, I come watch, and no offense to some of the teams that did it or whatever, but I was just like, oh, I don't want to watch those 2 teams play against each other. You know what I mean? Like, what am I going to watch? I'm just going to shoot at lanes until someone accidentally gets shot. You know what I mean? Versus
we've actually
those 2 teams, I want to watch them play because that guy's trying to hurt the other guy on the field. Not like physically, but he's trying to like embarrass that guy over there. So he's going to try to pull some things to make people laugh at him. And you got to have a game that like facilitates that, if that makes sense.
We talked about that as well, like having a shot clock at some point or something, you know, of that nature. There's definitely some unique pathways that we can take to engage the game and keep it super engaging for a viewing audience. And like you said, Cass, there's things that work already, and maybe you implement a couple of those into what we're doing and see what happens. You never know unless you try. And if we hate it, we hate it. We keep moving. But it's a pretty fun thing that we're in still this, you know, I always joke about, it's like baseball in the early 1900s or something, you know, we're building it. We're still building it all.
100%.
Yeah.
Cass, we got Fab. He wants to know, as a media mastermind, what would be the number one thing you'd like to see change on the current MLPB broadcast?
You already said it, Marcelo. You know what I mean? Okay. I don't want to gatekeep too much, but like you already said it, where like the technology is there. So the game needs to be made for that technology. You know what I mean? That if you have a system where some cool play happens, like you said, every single point, you need to be able to highlight and show that every single time. You know what I mean? Go watch traditional sports, esports, or whatever. What's happening? An insane play happens every minute, and you're able to break it down and show it. You know what I mean? Like you said, slow motion there. Slow motion's tricky, right? Because everything looks like a penalty in slow motion, but that doesn't mean you can't show it in the right way and show why that was an insane play. Does that help?
Yeah.
Clip that.
Crazy shots.
Clip that. Yep. Absolutely. fully agree.
Like you guys are the owners of this, right? You know what I mean? Like, of course the league owns or whatever, but you guys are the players. And if you are willing to be pushy and show that like, hey, our format needs this for the broadcast. How do we work together to make this work in our sport? You know what I mean? Absolutely. And I'm a big, like the biggest I got into was hockey the last couple of years with my wife. And that's a prime example. That's like one of the oldest, you know, traditional sports or whatever. And they're doing the same thing where now overtime's 3-on-3. Now there's, you know, like they're trying things because they're trying to get viewership and whatever.
Baseball and doing the same. Yeah,
exactly.
You got to evolve.
You have to. And paintball is one of those ones where you should be evolving more than others because you own more of it, you know.
Let's get creative. All right, we got Jimmy Hickey. He's wondering. Yeah, he's a great guy. He says, hope to see you back on the field sometime. What are some of your biggest creative influences? And bonus question, what advice do you have for up and coming videographers who want to make a name for themselves in the sport? You kind of hit on that a little bit. But yeah, biggest creative influences.
Creative influences, that one sucks because I can't give a good answer. Because for me, it was just, you know, music and just life. You know what I mean? Like when I was on the field and just watching stuff, it's just like I just wanted to capture it. You know what I mean? And when I was playing, in a sense, I was playing for those moments, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, of course, I want to win or whatever, but I'm playing because I'm hoping someone's seeing this. You know what I mean? I'm hoping when I go down that snake and you know, jump over, it's like I want to be Rocky jumping. You know, like we grew up watching that in Oliver. I think that's why you're saying Oliver's the GOAT. That was one of those first players when you're watching, you're like, ooh, I want to watch that. You know what I mean? Like, what's he doing? Why is he going that way or whatever? Like, that is like was my
changed the game. Yeah.
So when I was going to the paintball field, like, and I was listening to what music that day or whatever, that was like my influence. You know what I mean? Like that was like my drive competing, but also creating. And then I think for advice is always watch other industries. You know what I mean? Always see what other people are doing. You know what I mean? Like esports is like some titles in esports are so ahead of others. It's crazy. Sorry. I'll start that one over in a second so you can
the esports. Yeah, I would like to also, like, you were in there for so long. Is it rising? Is it falling? How is the esports industry doing at this moment as well? And I think that there's some similarities that we can pull from them too and really heighten our game.
Esports is great. The industry is like having a hard time just because it got so big. You know, like people call it a bubble, that now I had to come back to reality, but it's still like, it's so
strong,
accessible and so strong that I think it's still doing good. I think for me, full disclosure, right? I was there almost 10 years for Cloud9, but before I was doing freelance with Asher Gaming and a lot of other gaming stuff. I think it's awesome. I think for creators, for the game or whatever, and like you guys were saying, paintball can learn a lot from it. But the advice to go back to the question, the advice for a videographer is the same thing. Like you said, just make sure you're making it for something you want to make for yourself and you love. I mean, if you're just trying to make something for money, because I didn't make these HQ videos to make money. I didn't make them because I wanted to impress someone. You know what I mean? I made it because I wanted to make something I thought we deserved. You know, like I felt like if I was playing, if I was one of you guys on the field, like I would want someone filming that and showing that and making someone feel like, you know, the emotion. That's why, you know, people are crying or whatever. And all over speech, people can make fun of it. Okay, go make fun of it. It doesn't matter. But if you're someone who's there as a part of it, you understand how special that is. I even have messages from people too being like, oh, you have the shot of me and my kid. You know what I mean? As me, you know, I got 3 kids or whatever. It's just like the littlest things in the community are so special and that we all need to capture.
Yeah, man. Cassidy, what do you think Tyler and myself could be doing better with Play the Game to grow the platform and get more exposure on paintball?
It's definitely, like you said, not knowing about that documentary that came out or whatever. It's just using your influence, impact to move the needle in the leagues and the community, but making it easier for everyone to know where to be and what to be watching at the same time. Like, I think you guys have a good community, but guess what? I've never seen it. You know what I mean? Like I've seen a post about you have a Discord, but I don't know how to find your Discord. And I come from the gaming world where Discord is king. You know what I mean?
Man,
Reddit,
you're right.
Reddit and Discord is what we live on. You know what I mean? Of course, Twitter is like the platform, and I just had it just because it's like business and posting.
Well, just so everybody knows, it's through Patreon.
And that's okay too. You know what I mean? But that's like maybe at a certain point, maybe it's not okay anymore. And maybe you need to like.
Do you think that is a deterrent? The fact that ours is done through Patreon? Because we have 100%. Tiers. Damn. Because we have tiers, so we kind of need it to be done through Patreon in order to assign those roles to different channels in the Discord. Does Discord have that capability? Like
I would assume so.
Now? I know they didn't.
Discord is pretty advanced. You know what I mean? But even like you're saying, if it didn't, then you have a different Discord for that. You know what I mean? Like, if you're someone who's on Discord, on your phone, on the computer, if you're a gamer, you know what I mean? Or just because I don't know, like I said, I got to catch up on and see where the paintball industry lives and breathes.
Well, we're getting you in our Discord. We're going to send you a link so that you can be all up in the mix.
But that's like the first baby step for sure.
Right. Young Stevie, we need content promoting the Discord. I think we've been asking for only about 2 years. Maybe we need to do it ourselves. It's our fault, Ty.
No, it's
you just heard it here from Cassidy. Damn it.
It's definitely it's community.
You're right.
You know what I mean?
Community.
Like, how do you build your community? You need to have paywall stuff, right? Because you need to be able to. You guys, you got kids too, Tyler, right? Like you guys are pro athletes. You got time and commitments, so you don't have you have that grind. Yeah, you have that grind, but you don't have that time. You know what I mean? Time is like the we all wish we had more of. And community, Discord, a lot of those things, that's like saying your Instagram's private. You know what I mean? Like you can't have that. You know
well, it's a shame because we truly do have one of the greatest communities in all of paintball, and the chat is going berserk all week long, throughout the weekends, through the tournaments. It's just madness.
This year, really since like start of December, our chat has been absolutely
well, you know why?
Heavily
exclusive. You know why?
Yeah.
You know why? Probably is because more people are becoming actual Discord users in paintball. And that's probably
part of it too. For sure. I mean? For sure.
Because paintball is, I don't want to hate, right? But like, you guys are still learning. You're still learning. You're still learning as you're going, right? Like, oh, this industry's doing this. Now we'll do it. You're getting there.
Totally.
But Discord, for example, like is so old in the gaming world. And it's like, that's like step one. If you want to be a streamer, a content creator, or whatever, you have to have a public and thriving Discord community.
That's right.
Or wherever the platform for that industry is. You know what I mean? Like, for example, Instagram might be good for this world, or Facebook still exists in some countries, in some avenues. It's crazy what platforms you can do. But that's all time and commitment. You know what I mean? You got to have people, like you said, people posting things and promoting things.
And you need them all. You can't just have one. You got to have all of them, and they all got to be booming and doing unique, marketing essentially.
So let me spiel myself real quick, or sell out and hit with the stuff that I was teasing, I guess, throughout the whole video. Is I want to come back to paintball. That's no question. That's why I'm here now too. And Tyler, like, I appreciate you fighting with me over the years to get me on.
Yeah, got you.
I had a lot of babies and I was traveling the world, so time was crazy, and I don't like being in front of the camera.
I know.
So it's really hard, but like,
well, you've done great. Nobody would guess that.
Thank you. But for me, I was with Cloud9 for 10 years, loved it, and I don't know how much time you have, Marcelo, too, because if maybe Tyler, you have more time, we can go over it too, because this is really important to me. Is I didn't want to leave HK back in 2015, but I had to, just because like I had to pay bills. I wanted to have a family, I wanted to do things, and no offense to HK, but like that cost money, you know what I mean? And they were paying me okay, you know what I mean? But it wasn't a full-time job. And also the ownership of the company wasn't just the people we know. There was other people there too, that it wasn't a healthy place for me, because I didn't feel appreciated. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I would get yelled at because I was on like a poster that I didn't even want to be on, you know what I mean? Or like, because someone was posting a photo of me and a thing. And it's just like, well, that person knows I actually come from HK and I'm one of the, creators of this, like, don't worry about it. Like, I'm not here to steal your limelight. And that's a whole different rant. But in 2015, I was working a lot to pay the bills, and that equaled, I had to do a lot of gaming stuff. I had to do a lot of hockey. I did an art show and made some money off of selling like a jersey and doing art to be able to like become a homeowner in Southern California, which I never thought was a thing. But when that happened, I got an offer from Cloud9 for full time, and that's like health insurance, what I mean? And like actually paying my bills. And it's Smash Bros, Melee, which is what I grew up with, and Counter-Strike, which I grew up with. And for me, I called up Marky, and I was like, if I say no to this, I'm going to regret it for my entire life. And I think up to that point, we had Spantastic. We already were kind of growing. Like, you don't need Cassidy just to film paintball. Like, you can survive without me, like with the right guidance, and you guys are killing it. So you're doing good. And I was doing a lot of social media and stuff too, and they're starting to do posts too. Marky's insane at what he does, but I sat down with Marky, and it was a hard conversation. I told him first, and then went and told the rest of the boys. And it's just one of those things where, some of them didn't really fight for me to stay either. So I was like, I will always be available to help you guys, when I can in time. And then now 10 years flew by, got to travel the world, always would make sure, Marky and Scotty's not involved with like the HK stuff, but always kept close tabs and watching you guys become legends in the game, which I love. You already were in my heart, and then even in the early days, and then now, I love you guys. You guys deserve more. And then 10 years happens, and then there's layoffs happen. I got hit with them, and I was surprised, you know what I mean? Just because that's the way the world is. And I don't want to go more into those details, I guess, but long story short, I was already wanting to come back to paintball for the last couple of years. And I would always tease with Marky. Marky would tease too, like, oh, let's do the documentary. Oh, let's do this thing. But along those times, right, they got Danny over there. They got Quitman back doing airsoft. Like, they're killing it. So when this happened, I hit up Marky, just being like, hey, like, I'm ready. And I'm also now looking for a job. But to be transparent, HK, like, Marky told me, like, they're not hiring right now. So that like broke my heart, like, instantly. So I had to go like soul searching over the holidays, because I was like, okay, I wanted to come back to paintball, but now is it weird that I come back to paintball not as HK?
If it's not with HK, man,
and I was like, I think
that would feel sacrilegious for sure. It would not feel right.
Yeah, and it definitely hurts.
Right.
I got the endless amount of all this HK stuff, but
real quick, I just want to say, having you back in paintball is a net positive and net win. So whoever it's with, you gave them first right of refusal, and if they're not hiring right now, it is what it is, man.
Maybe they're hiring again one day, but
maybe. I mean, they're massive. They could have a huge team. I love Danny. I love what Danny does. I think he's really talented as well.
Yeah.
But like you could have a big team of and you could be the media dominators. Cause let's be honest, I think you got to probably give it to Hormesis right now with what they're doing with all the documentaries. They're putting out a lot of stuff that's really powerful, really captivating, really building a fan base that's massive. And that was HK at one point, and so they need to, kind of refocus on that. So having a big team might be the answer. Come on, guys. What are we doing over there? Let's go.
Well, no, I think like for me, just trying to be realistic, like me just coming in like so fast is like, I can't expect to just get hired instantly too, because everyone already has their teams. They already got their videographers or whatever. And a lot of people, because like I said, I've always been shy and hidden behind the scenes over the years, is one, I never had a portfolio or a resume. And like, I never was about talking about myself. I was always like, I'm dedicated to my craft, and like HK, it's like all I did was post all their social media, all their video, like that's all I focus on. I didn't care about like growing myself. And I was fortunate enough to know the right people to be able to get jobs and do that. And that just worked out. So now I have to take a step back and be like, okay, now I have to actually like market myself. But I was like, maybe I'll find someone who understands it, like with a conversation, or if I build that stuff, I can show, wouldn't you rather have that time in me building your brand or the sport of paintball? So,
but unfortunately, the world we live in is you got to also treat what you do. It's you have your own business and you are your business, and you do have to market that as well, as uncomfortable as it can be sometimes.
Exactly. And so for me, that puts me in like a new exciting time, right? Because it's okay, I got a family and kids. I got to pay the bills. I got to do those things. I don't know if that means I'm in the paintball industry to do that, but now I'm at that point where no matter what, I'm filming paintball. You know what I mean? Like it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And hopefully someone would like to pay for it.
Well,
which is not that easy to find. You know what I mean?
Well,
in this
you have to understand the value that you bring to any company that is able to bring you on board is whatever they're trying to sell, they're the best video that you could possibly ever cook up is going to be coming out and helping you push those products. And there's countless new entities that are coming onto the scene that need help with those types of products. There's staples in the game that still need help with those types of moving all the stuff and getting people hyped. And what you do, it's an art. It literally is an art. And to put that kind of art together in the way that you have been able to, and if you want to look at his work, just go look at anything, go to the YouTube channel for HK, look at the videos from 2009 to 2015. Yeah. check out all that masterful work. And we dove into a couple of them.
Appreciate it.
But it brings the energy and the passion, like we've been talking about the whole show, and you can feel that. And if you are working for whoever it is, that passion for that entity is going to come through and it's going to capture people. That's just what you do. You're a master at it. You know what I mean?
I appreciate it. Like, I don't like, this is very painful to do, to like sell out, especially in front of you guys. But like, that was 10 years ago. You know what I mean? And what I've been doing in the esports world is there's probably not that many people who actually know what I've done and what I did at Cloud9. So I'm really excited to like tell people about that eventually and you know, promote myself in a way. But like, I think the technology's there, the community's strong. You know what I mean? I'll start to learn how strong and have more conversation with you guys on camera, off camera. I'm down for whatever. And just really help grow all this. You know what I mean? I think PTG is killing it. And
we're trying, man.
Get bigger.
Yeah, and let's connect the dots for Cass too. If you have any leads, if there's any way that we can help Cassidy in any way, your personal Instagram as well as just at Cassidy Sanders, drop him a line. Let's get the conversations rolling and let's get Cass on the field and have him capturing moments. I mean, straight up, you know, like you are a pivotal piece of paintball history that has helped us to pave the way to the modern era that we're sitting in right now. And to anybody, including I already told you, Cass, if we could afford you, I would have hired you yesterday. Actually, our goal for PTG is to hire Cassidy. That's our goal.
It really is. Maybe we could. Well, no, it wouldn't work. Offer equity, you know. If we grow, you grow. But yeah, fuck.
No, but I'm gonna be very open and honest here. Is I just need to learn more about the paintball industry right now.
Yeah,
because content in general is so different, but I also come with like marketing and all that shebang or whatever. Is that like everything's so different that I have to decide, does that mean I'm just a videographer or freelancing and doing projects for people, or creating something new, or actually becoming like a full-time at a company? And that's why for me it broke my heart, is because I thought HK was at that point where they finally, after all those years we built, we could finally become where it's like a thing. But it's just like, nope, I miss those windows again. So
we'll make some phone calls.
Yeah, I'm getting on the phone right now. Actually, as soon as we get off this call, I'm hitting it, dude.
I love it.
Yeah, I wanted to show something real quick.
Do it.
Since you're here, Marcel. So I'm sorry I'm keeping you over time.
No, it's okay.
Let me see. One is called the Straight Edge issue. Here it is.
Is this an old magazine?
An old magazine. This is February 2026. So Straight Edge issue. I don't know if that's backwards. So I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, we got it. It's perfect.
Because me and Jay Panetta were one of the few, people who are straight edge. If you don't, I think everyone knows what straight edge is, but just didn't drink, didn't do any drugs back then. But we're in the middle of a party scene, so people just thought that was crazy.
These old magazines are the best. I have a pile of them.
We got Goat.
Yeah, Goat
too. But like,
Christ
we get little me and Jay. Our little emo,
man,
hardcore days.
That's Cassidy, I remember.
But the reason why I wanted to show it is I go like 2 pages more. Let me find it. Oh, give me a
This
second.
is my favorite. I have a whole pile of these. I go through them all the time, just looking at old paintball pictures.
Where was it? There was Marcelo in here. I wanted to show him.
Oh,
it was Marcelo and Nobby in an ad.
Young March, PB Fashion.
Oh,
is that what it is?
It's a proto. It's a proto.
It's the one he probably doesn't want me to show, but I have to
show it. Yeah, dude, these are great.
Nobby, right? HK.
Yeah.
Look at that little youngin.
Look at Scott.
Ryan.
Bro, that's amazing. That's amazing.
That's good. But then I think the only other, and then of course, like I said, anyone who asks about ag or whatever, like I'm always biased. That Scott Cresson, he's the guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Ag Lord.
There is no HK Army. There is no Hostile Kids without this man. And that's, I'm not saying Mark Cresson's any worse or
no, of course,
whatever, you know what I mean? But it's just like the amount of people it took to grow HK is insane. And then one last thing,
take a team.
Let me see, because there is where it's us three and when the Brandon Showers took a photo of. No, I know that's what I love about Hormesis right there doing the magazines, right?
Yeah.
Or Alex and them.
Yeah, they got 2 that they're dropping each year. And they're high quality and they're big, massive magazines. Yo, I remember
little guy. Those guys.
The whole crew.
Dude. While we're doing that, actually, I want to share this because I just got this from let's see. Pull this up.
Cassidy, what's one of your favorite videos you ever made?
1 second.
For paintball?
Yeah, paintball.
Let me look it up real quick. Oh, yeah, let's see. What is it? Oh, I saw that. The 10-second.
There we go. Yeah, 10 seconds from Nigel. You guys can pre-order these. It's a really nice, beautiful book. It's all, black and white print, but a lot of really cool captures in here.
No, that's what I love to see. That's
yeah. See this stuff exactly. This is amazing. It's just there's such a space for this. Just immortalizing moments. It's incredible. This just showed up, so I haven't had a chance to really look through it and find all the ones that I really like to show. Oh, this photo's sick.
When is that dropping?
I'm not exactly sure. Soon. I know you could pre-order it right now. I wish I would have had the
shout out to that. I saw it on Instagram like a couple of weeks ago, and that right there is because of nostalgia. But for me, it's like right there. That's what makes me so happy.
Totally.
At the end of the day, paintball, like just the style, the love, the art. Oh, it's so good.
Dude, this is an early morning, like before the sun comes up at World Cup. I mean, wow, that's a photo right there. That's a photo. You have people showing up for the super early games. That's a photo.
That's what I'm saying. Like, really I think paintball is very special because everyone can, like, when you guys see someone, like when we were watching those old videos, you still can know who's who, you know what I mean? Because everyone can show not only their style, NAG and HK and what have you, biased. I'm sorry. But the way you play, and the way you wear your stuff is like you instantly know who that person is. Even if they're head to toe wearing the exact same thing. If us three were wearing the same stuff and we had the same body height,
Totally.
You would still know as soon as he's holding that gun, diving and playing or whatever, your
body language. Yeah, everyone has their own signature style.
Yeah, and so for me, that's why I like Smash Bros. Melee. I'm very biased, but there's Mango, who's a GOAT, an icon of that. But Counter-Strike is the same thing where you can tell a play style is what, like, you have a GOAT who's winning games, like you said about like Oliver, and then you have Ryan, but then you're gonna like one more because of the way they look when they're on the field or the way they play on the field. That's no offense to Ryan. I'm a big fan and I vote for Ryan on being one of the best in the game ever, even without longevity, because when he's on the field, he's gonna do what it takes to survive. And
his style's gotten, I think his style might have gotten worse. He used to be sick. I told him for a long time he needs to bring back the puka shells, the bleach tips, the white strap went hard, and he has like this. He hates white stuff on his goggles now. I'm like, dude, bring back the white headband. That's iconic. That's a young Greenspan.
Oh yeah, it was kind of the white.
He looks like a dad out there now. It was the white bandana. It was the white bandana. It was 100%. Yeah. Now he just looks like a dad out there.
But favorite video for me, I think besides that World Cup one you showed. Is that one I felt like I'm proud of that one. You know what I mean? Like,
crushed,
like the community worked together. A lot of video people worked with me to give me their footage. We posted it. Everyone loved it, and I was like, and just the story and HK and all that. I think besides that, one I would always say is PSP Dallas Open 2013. I just looked it up real quick because that one, I don't know if it's the song and just like the actually feeling. And the edit, that was just one of my favorites because when I was making it, I was like, I don't know how it's gonna do because it's not really like what people think my videos are, but that's one of my favorites. And it's just one of those things where that one I watch every couple of months just to get that feeling of like, ooh, paintball.
Was that it had to have been a mud fest every time we were in Texas?
That one I don't think as much as a mud fest as the other ones. Like that might be the year before and after.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the one where Tyler dove down the snake side and bunkered.
Oh shit,
dude! Like
that might be.
Yo, in that game, Dalton was like, "He's on me. He's on the wire," and I was like, "Fuck it, I got him."
That might be that one. That might be a different one, but that's just one of my favorites, just because of the way I edited it. Nothing special.
Guys, Cass, I'm so sorry. You can be on this show anytime you want. I could talk to you for another hour. I have physical therapy in 20 minutes and it's about 12 minutes from my house. So I do got to get wrapping up here, but man, amazing. Thank you for finally gracing us with your presence. And there's so much more that we could talk to you about. Love that you're back in paintball. So we should have you on a little more regularly. And let's try to do things and move this game in the right direction and help you land us a home too. I think that's important and would be a net win for paintball. So
I appreciate it too. I'm confident I can land a spot and I will.
Not a doubt.
It's just like,
well, it's up to your standards though. Yeah. You get to pick
I'm being a little picky. I'm being a little stubborn. So
no doubt. I mean, I already know of a few different companies that have heard and they're like, oh, we're trying to get Cassidy. And it's like, then they come back and like, we can't quite afford it, or we can't do this. And it's like, if you want the GOAT, you gotta, it's gonna.
I just want some health insurance for my babies. I'm sorry.
Oh man,
not too much.
Way too much to ask for. Way too much to ask for. How dare you? How dare you?
Yeah, I still have so many questions, Cass. We got to have you back on. Once again in the 2026 season, we'll have you back in and we'll touch base. And thank you so much once again for taking the time. Give my love to the family. And we'll see you on the field here soon, Papa. Let's get it going.
Again, love you guys and proud of anyone who supports PDG. I'm proud of you guys too. These guys deserve more than they're getting, and they mean the world to me. So
we just love it, man. It's
all
love.
Each other. Love you guys.
Love you too, Cass. We'll see you soon.
All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening to the show. We appreciate your support more than you know. As you guys heard about midway through the episode, if you guys would like to support PTG in any way, you could head over to ptgpaintball.com. You could click the orange Patreon link and sign up at any level and get access to our Discord. The Discord is one of the most phenomenal communities in the game of paintball. We have so many different channels in there. It's great for learning. It's great for connecting, finding teams, selling equipment, whatever it is you want to do in there. We truly have it all, and we hope to see you in there. So again, head over to ptgpaintball.com, click the orange Patreon link, and we will see you in there.